Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. That'll do. All right, are we ready?
Fuck yeah, man. Woo, boozer for life. Sorry.
I'm really dreading this. I don't know if I should be excited or nervous, but Brad, have you really been playing it?
Just start talking.
Hey guys, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 627. It's also our 2019 awards show. Part one. My name is Nick Henderson. I'm joined by Brad Simons,
Woo!
Nolan Hedstrom,
How's it going, everybody?
and Christopher Guthridge.
Hey.
And it's that time of year to put a cap on the previous year and give out some awards. Some official, we have actual physical trophies we're going to be handing out to developers. I'm just kidding, we don't. But we're going to go through a list of, tonight, 12 categories. I'm going to go over those categories here in just a moment. We're going to do things a little bit differently this year because next week is part 2. And we're going to do, I think, 6 more categories.
Yes.
For 2019.
And then 6 special awards to the best of the decade.
Yeah. So if you've been looking forward to our Games of the Decade discussion, it's happening next week.
Yeah. Different categories for specifically the decade.
So we will be actually doing awards in the same style as we do our regular awards, but we'll be we'll be looking at the whole decade as opposed to just the previous year. So tune in next week for that. But for now, we're going to go through 12 categories. We're each going to do our runner-up, followed by our winner, and then we'll have a chance to rattle off some honorable mentions. I will say this. Tonight, we are going to do these categories. Am I looking at the right list? Yes, I am. Tonight is Best World Level Design. Best World/Level Design.
Yes.
So some of these are kind of loosely defined, so to kind of encompass different ways of looking at them. So
it's not that complicated.
It's
World/level design.
Yes. Best new gameplay experience. How would you define that, Brad?
Some gameplay experience that felt fresh and new. It could be a mechanic. It could be like the game's hook or loop, central loop, or you know.
Yeah.
A gameplay thing that felt new and fresh.
Something that you haven't experienced before. Best new enemy or boss.
Yes. We sort of combine those. I think we used to do them.
Yeah, we used to do them separately,
Yeah.
but we're combining them. Best online experience.
No. Well, we changed the name to... It doesn't have to be online because it could be like couch co-op. And,
Best multiplayer experience.
Best, multiplayer experience.
The list says multiplayer / co-op.
Best experience with more than one person involved.
Or,
there you go.
Or best game I played with someone else.
Sure, there we go.
Boom.
You guys need to get some friends.
It's true though. We can't call it multiplayer because me and Nick never play multiplayer games. But whatever.
Fucking Crispy over there already throwing shade. Best comfort food.
Yeah.
So this would be the games that familiar, something kind of a rehash, but something that's done really well nonetheless. And then after that, it's most out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So
they go together.
They do kind of go together. That speaks for itself. And then we'll do best debut, which we used to call new IP, but best debut is maybe a better descriptor. Best game nobody played. Best looking game. We used to do best graphics or whatever and best art direction separately, but now we're just kind of combining it. Whatever we think looked the best from a technical or an artistic standpoint.
The thing you just looked at and went, wow. For whatever fucking
we just call it the wow.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise, which I think that could be interpreted.
It's
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Biggest disappointment.
Ooh.
And then we'll end the night with a new category or an altered category. Best character relationship. We used to do one called Best Ensemble. This year we're
We did both.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, last year we did both. Yeah, we cut down some of the awards this year to make room for the Decade Awards next show.
Correct.
Yeah.
So those are the ones we'll be going over tonight. And like I said,
Thanks, Crispy.
Restart the show.
how are you doing over there, Crispy?
I'm good.
How's your list coming along?
That's great.
Nolan, you got a fart for us? Let's do it.
Don't ask.
I don't think I can.
No.
Usually you can. Sorry.
Kato, go.
Let's do this, guys. Let's jump into it. We're gonna do 3 segments tonight. Each one's gonna have 4 categories. Like I said, we'll each do our runner-up followed by our winner. And then during the break, we usually use that opportunity to highlight a track from each one of our favorite soundtracks of the year.
Yeah.
So we will do that again tonight.
A couple of tracks
A couple of tracks.
from our favorite soundtrack of the year.
All right. Are we ready?
We're ready, man. I think Crispy's ready.
Then, real quick, I keep forgetting. Well, I didn't forget. I mean, this is not a normal show, but I do want to pimp the normal things. Because we're not going to be doing our usual, feedback and questions and all that jazz. But if you are listening to the show for the first time, or you're a relatively new listener and you have not yet joined our Discord, we would love to have you there. Go to discord.gg/4Player. It's free. It's the best place where you can be a part of the community and keep in touch with us and everyone else out there. Talk about games and all the good stuff. We are also, if you're a supporter of us on Patreon, at patreon.com/4Player, we're working towards our next goal of 175 patrons, which will, when we reach that goal, we're going to do a dedicated month on our Twitch channel where we do nothing but play games from a specific year, a flashback event, I guess, if you want to call it that. And we're talking about maybe doing the year 2000, right?
Yes.
Although last time Brad read off that list and we were like, maybe not 2000. We'll see what happens.
In
but
the year 2000.
I feel like we have to, just so we can keep that joke rolling. And then also we are doing the Revival Club right now. We're playing Dragon's Dogma, which, by the way, I haven't had a chance to talk about that on the show. That game is dope.
Oh, yeah.
I love that game. So we're playing Dragon's Dogma for the Revival Club. If you're interested in being a part of that club and voting and playing a bunch of games and talking about them amongst the community, all you have to do is support us on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, or you can subscribe to us on Twitch. Either way, helps us out tremendously and allows you to be part of the club. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's do it. Oh my god, these dogs are going to break into a straight-up wolf fight here in the middle.
Best game we played enhanced by other people.
Are you still over here trying to rename that category? Yeah, let's just call it what it is. All right. We're going to start tonight off with best world/level design. Who's going to go first?
I mean, you can go first, or
I can go
I can
first?
go first, and we can go back around to you.
Oh my god. Oh, look at that. There they go.
Why don't we just go, bing bang boom,
I don't know what that means.
ending with
Brad.
Crispy.
Yeah, bing, bang,
Starting
boom.
with you,
Bing,
ending
bang,
with Crispy.
boom.
Bing, bang,
Here
boom.
we go with our first category. Best
Unless you don't want to go first.
/level design. My runner-up this
Crispy,
year.
you wanna go first?
Again, if anybody wants to chime in, and if there's overlap here, feel free to say, okay, this was my runner-up or my winner, and then we'll just have that conversation right there. Okay? All right.
Sure.
My runner-up this year for best world design is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Ooh, this is an honorable mention for me.
It is it's
an
a
honorable mention for me.
it's a From Software game, so we already know that they're very experienced when it comes to world design and everything. I think this. Caveat: I have not finished this game yet,
Strike it from the list.
but I've played.
Get off the
Court
couch.
reporter.
But
strike this from the record.
I've played enough of this so far to kind of get this feeling of like, I think this might be my favorite in terms
know
of
what-
world design.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
The original Dark Souls.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This might be my favorite as far as world design goes since they did the original Dark Souls.
Yeah. And it's got that verticality
It's
with
got-
that grappling hook. You can explore a Souls world in a way you've never had before. Neo's coming out. Another Neo's coming out, and it's like, man, it's like Sekiro, except they don't have a grappling hook.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad when you go to other games of that style, but you're just like on the ground.
I'm just
Like,
on the ground.
What is this shit?
Yeah, Bloodborne basically sucks now.
Yeah, fuck Bloodborne.
But seriously, on top of that, like on top of just the verticality and like the openness and the way everything is kind of like interwoven and like folds back on top of each other in really creative, interesting ways. It's also a setting that I never really expected to see from a From Software game, just because they're so entrenched in like what's the word I'm looking for? Like high fantasy kind of stuff,
Sure.
or like gothic horror, obviously from Bloodborne.
Did you play this game? There's a decent amount of fantasy.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Souls isn't high fantasy,
but like it's got that feudal Japan
Yeah.
setting, and which is just, and there's a lot of it's not nearly as like dark, like literally dark as like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. It's a very bright game. You're in a lot of like well lit, sunlit areas, and it's just beautiful in a way that like
still
From
overcast,
Software
I
hasn't
would
really.
say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, next time, I think Nick maybe ended on the mountain with the monks, maybe, where you're like outside in like the sunlight and stuff. There's definitely some dark parts.
There
game,
definitely is.
yeah.
In fact, the area I'm in right now is nighttime, and everything's on fire. If that tells you where I am, so
I know where you're
Man,
at.
I regret not playing
it-
more of this just because I hear some of the later areas are like pretty crazy.
No, they are.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to finishing that game in the first half of 2020. But my winner this year is Outer Wilds.
Yeah, it's my winner too.
Okay, cool. Outer Wilds is like one of those games, and like the world in this game is like
The galaxy,
yeah, it's just this solar system.
solar system. Sorry.
Yeah, come on, Brad, get it right.
Come on.
The solar system they created in Outer Wilds is so like you don't, until you like first get in your ship and take off, and then like you start to kind of realize how things are pieced together, and how they're trying to like lead you around the I was about to say galaxy too, when they're trying to like have you bounce around from planet to planet, and you start realizing, okay, I need to go here and do this, go here and do this, and you start having to like make decisions about how you're going to go from point A to point B. Like, I've just never played a game constructed like this,
And it's constantly in motion. It's just like this giant like clockwork that's like changing constantly as the 22 minutes progresses.
It's one of those things where, after you die a few times and you do the loop, you kind of start to be like, well, now I need to be on every planet for like the whole time. I want to kind of experience the 22 minutes on each one to see what's going on and see how things change over time and stuff.
And I mentioned this before too on a show back earlier in the year, and we were talking about it on the show. But like, wait, what?
Outer Wilds.
What did I say?
You said
Outer Wilds, but there's going to be some confusion. Very specifically, maybe you should lay it out now. Outer Wilds is the cool game where you're exploring that solar system indie game. Outer Worlds.
No.
The Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds
Yes.
is also it takes place in space, but it's like the Fallout game.
Yeah,
Fallout-y
precisely.
type
I'm
game.
talking about Outer Wilds.
Wilds.
But like I mentioned this earlier in the year, and like this was the moment where I just I'll never forget it, and it was just kind of like, holy fuck, man, this game is nuts. Where I was like, I need to go to a really far off planet, and I don't have a lot of time left, and I was like trying to book it, but I was like not taking into account the rotation of the planets around the sun, and I ended up literally just propelling myself into the trajectory of a small moon, and but I was going too fast to stop myself, and I just fucking crash landed I didn't land. I crashed and died on this planet just because I wasn't taking into account like gravity and the rotation and like all this stuff, and like there's just so many little pieces you have to take into consideration when you are actually planning what you're gonna do in one of those 22-minute loops.
And just unraveling how this solar system works, how things that happen on one planet will affect the other in like some really interesting ways. It's hard to talk about this game without spoiling, but we're going to get into spoilers, especially on next week's episode.
Spoilers, but if you're going to spoil something, make sure you I'm about to spoil something. You know what I mean?
It's one of the most creative solar systems worlds I've ever explored in a game, and
space.
Exploring that space was just like literally the last game I could think of that even comes close to this is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those scenarios where everything's very unique. What you interact with, the twin planets with the sand and stuff. And I vividly remember a time when I was on that planet, and like Nick was saying, like time was running out. And those are some of the planets are fairly small.
Yeah.
You know, I don't not as small as like Super Mario Galaxy or something like that. But you know, smaller size. And I was trying to run. There's like kind of a pathway on one of those planets, and I was trying to run, and there's like some like a tower space throughout it. And so I was running, and I jumped, and I propelled myself, but then I couldn't slow down. I smacked right into the building and died.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool. And like on any one of those planets is just like packed full of like mystery and stuff. Like just trying to figure out how each individual planet works is so rewarding and so cool. But yeah, that's my winner for best world design world or level design of the year.
Well, that was also my winner. My runner up though, I'm giving it to Superland.
Yes, that's one of my honorable mentions.
This
for
is
sure.
the first person open world.
So I was gonna say Superland was my winner.
All right, it's a densely packed first person like open world Metroidvania style puzzle game. Primarily what you're doing in that game is solving puzzles, but as you play the game, just like in a Metroid game, you're getting these upgrades, and these upgrades will unlock other parts of the world, stuff that you didn't even realize you could interact with, that was right in front of your face this whole time. And as you get these upgrades, you're like, oh wait a minute, I can use this to use that to get up there. You know, it fills out the world. It makes it more dense, and you discover how dense it really is once you realize, how much just depth there is to navigating this world and exploring this world. And it's such a joy. I spent so much time in this game trying to 100% it, and I wasn't even close. And that was felt very satisfying to me.
There's so many, I could jump into that world with no ultimate goal whatsoever and just play for hours.
You can,
and that's
what I did, yeah.
Because you'll just you'll turn over every rock and you'll find something to do in that game. It's so cool.
It's just such a beautifully made, and from an indie developer, you don't really expect
one
this
guy
level
too.
of craft.
It's not like it's a small team. This is one of those situations where it was a single guy who made this game.
Yeah, and his Kickstarter for the sequel that he's working on is one of the stretch goals was I'll hire a second person.
Yeah.
if I hit this goal. So,
but yeah, so like kind of Brad was saying, the denseness of this world is not immeasurable. You can definitely measure it, but it's one of those scenarios where, similar to any other Metroidvania, you can kind of see things, but you can't quite get to them yet. Yeah. It's like one of those situations where you're like, well, it's not even like it's behind a door. It's on top of a house. And it's like, well, I know I'll eventually be able to get up there, but I don't know how.
And there's a lot of places too where they may have had a specific strategy in mind for how you're supposed to get there, but sometimes you can just think of new creative ways to
you can definitely
tie things together.
I don't say break the game, but use your abilities to kind of get yourself to a position that maybe later on you'll get an ability that makes it super easy to get there. But you'll be like, no, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it with this.
Or you'll even get to places where you feel like, okay, I'm definitely not supposed to be up here. Yeah. Then you'll see a chest and you're like, they knew I could get up here, and that's awesome. It rewards you. One of my favorite things about the way the world is structured, though, is how you get around it quickly, because it is rather big.
Oh yeah,
and you are a little guy in this giant world.
You're basically in a kid's sandbox.
Yeah, you're in a kid's sandbox.
Yeah,
this is the game that Robin affectionately refers to as the Gumby game.
It has man cannons, like jump pads that shoot you across the world. So it's essentially fast traveling, but you fly up in the air and you can see the whole world below you, and you're just pointing things out. Later on, you even get ways
the best part about that is the fact that an upgrade you get towards the end of the game, it's one of the last ones you get, complete those jump pads and that upgrade completely change how you interact
think about
with
it
the
differently,
world.
right?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, because
is it one that's required to finish the game? I don't.
The green one.
Yeah, the green one that
you shoot the orb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can use that in conjunction with the jump pads.
Sorry, I was. Yes.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. In fact, I have used that several times. And it's so cool. But I just wanted. I was like, oh my god, did I miss something?
No. But yeah, it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
So fucking
a lot. It's one of those things that we often talk about Metroidvanias, and a lot of thought has to go into designing them. Yeah. But this is not like a 2D flat Metroidvania. It's 3D. So I can't imagine how much time he spent trying to think of how to design this world, this 3D space. And you can tell, I don't want to say cop-outs, but there are definitely some areas where there's going to be a big pane of glass on the top of this, so there's no way you could get in from the top.
Dude,
you have to kind of go around.
There's been multiple times where I've spent 10 minutes I know I can do this, and the game's probably stop what you're doing.
You definitely cannot.
But then there's been a few times where I'm and I finally get it, but I finally just like jump high enough or like propel myself just far enough to like barely catch a ledge and like pull myself up over onto it. And I'm like, I don't think the game was meant to do that, but like I fucking did it.
Yep.
I fucking did it.
Very,
and that's so cool.
Very cool world.
That's so cool. All right.
What's your runner-up, Nolan?
My runner-up is What the Golf.
Oh,
What the golf?
Yes, dude, and it's one of those things where when I first started playing
This is a mobile game, right?
Yeah.
I think it's available on like Epic Game Store.
Mobile. It's
You
not
can get it on
mobile.
Epic Game Store. It's one of those things where like the first few levels are just like, yeah, it's a fun little kind of quirky golf game, whatever. But dude, once you get like 40, 50, 60 levels deep, holy shit. The stuff that starts happening in this game, how you interact with the golf course, just completely fucking changes. Like I've mentioned before, and I don't know if Brad ever got to it, there's fucking super hot levels.
Yeah.
What?
Yes! There are fucking levels that are super hot, but like with golf, dude, it's fucking insane. Like
it goes places.
Yeah, like just like the different ways, and it's one of those situations where there's a limited number of items and objects and whatnot, but then the way they start kind of manipulating those objects and like, oh, now you're like you're not controlling a golf ball, you're controlling almost like a rocket and stuff like that. And
every level feels like it has a punchline.
Yeah, oh yeah,
like every level's a joke, and the gimmicks are the punchline.
Yes,
and like it's surprising just how many levels there are and how much you'll keep being surprised by like the new ways they have you to play this golf, quote unquote golf game.
Yeah,
it's honestly kind of brilliant.
I
love What the Golf.
Yeah, if anyone's not played that one, highly recommend checking it out.
What the golf?
In fact, it's almost a spoiler to talk about the things that they do.
Oh, definitely.
But the developer specifically, I think from the menu they have like a demo of that. They're like, hey, hand this phone to another person. Here's a series of random levels that we've pulled from the game that they can play through really quick
like these will
to get a
them.
really good idea of what this game is like and show you kind of like
this is
where its mind is at.
Is this only on Apple phones?
No, it's on Epic Game Store.
It's only on iPhones and Epic Game Store.
Okay, that's why I can't find it.
Arcade got an exclusive on it.
Can't find it on my phone.
But I mean, I would definitely.
Yeah, I have the Epic Game Store.
Epic Game Store too,
for sure. Crispy.
Sorry.
And once again, my winner was Superland.
Yeah.
Superland.
Nice. Real quick, I want to talk about the fact that Nick doesn't have an iPhone.
That's been for a while.
I got a Google phone like
Wow.
8 months ago.
Yeah, that was a while.
9 months
Good
ago.
for you, Nick.
Thank you. A little
Good
late to the
for
party,
you,
but thank
Nick.
you.
I didn't even realize it. Thought you were.
I mean, I'm the butt of the joke now. I can't play What the
I
Golf.
thought you were ride or die with Apple.
Yeah. He's not drinking Starbucks either.
What do you what?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. What do you want first?
Runner up.
My runner-up for best game world level design is, I don't know if this is cheating, but
the first game of the day.
cheating.
This could be cheating. I don't know.
It doesn't have levels or a world.
it was a movie. Resident Evil 2.
What they?
I don't think that's cheating at
I
all.
see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Maybe because it's a remake.
Right.
Well, yeah, but
because
it-
it's.
No,
I
I-
mean, it's a remake, but they're like
It's
the
a
level
very-
design
yeah.
is like
Yeah.
It's a very inspired
That
remake.
counts.
It's
This
definitely not a
this
one-to-one
definitely
thing.
counts.
Okay.
Definitely counts.
yeah.
But it's probably maybe why we didn't put it on the list because I didn't even think about it in that respect. But if you do,
It's an honorable
like
mention
it
for me.
absolutely deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really great. Like the whole atmosphere of the police station and like the different like kind of ancillary areas that you go to are really fucking great. And it does this thing where like it feels like a haunted house, but like not in a bad way, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it feels like I really like it when a game is able to communicate constraint and like gameplay boundaries, but in a way that does not make it feel like a game, but at the same time is like very clear and doesn't have to like have a pop-up that's like, return to the mission area or it's
Yeah.
like some shit like
I
that.
hate
you
that
know?
shit.
Yeah. And I think Resident Evil 2 does a really good job with that.
You're
at
are
constraining.
you playing? You're playing it right now, right?
Yeah.
Have you?
I haven't gone back since we talked.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my winner, and this is like really conflicted for me, but my winner is Control. The oldest house. I mean, and this is kind of like not just like from a pure mechanical design standpoint, but also just like again, like atmosphere and just like the whole like
aesthetic,
testicles,
oomph of it. Yeah. It's the balls of it, are just like
I would absolutely
really
agree with
great. And I will be revisiting Control on my list later this evening.
So I mentioned this in Discord,
and
earlier,
maybe I'll talk more about it there. But like, I will say this: the world, like if I could have a completely different game set in the oldest house, I would throw all kinds of money at that
for sure. Just as a caveat, because we had a conversation about this on last week's podcast and whatnot, and good points were made, and I do agree with some of those points. I went back and I was recording footage for Game of the Year stuff for Control this past weekend, or a couple days ago, I guess. And like, I found myself kind of getting swept back into that game, and like, I ended up playing it for a lot longer than I was actually recording footage for. I was like, this game is pretty good.
Yep.
This game is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So
you were thinking it's more than just mediocre now.
You go fuck yourself. All right. All right. Honorable mentions. We can just rattle these off. No particular.
I had Sekiro on my own.
Yeah, I had Sekiro on mine.
Bloodstained. I really like the map in
Bloodstained.
Bloodstained.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Bloodstained.
I mean, it's good.
I mean, I mentioned Outer Wilds and Superland.
I know.
Those are stunning. I want to give a special mention to Failsail. Like, I know it's a like Final Fantasy Tactics style turn-based strategy game, but the map design is actually really good in a genre where it's usually kind of like lazy. I'm looking at you, Fire Emblem. So yeah, Failsail, really good map.
Honorable mention to Blair Witch, and specifically from maybe more of a technical standpoint, because one of the things I think I really like about that game is that you can kind of tell like maybe the budget on that game was smaller, but they had a very specific kind of game they wanted to make. And they do a lot of what I can imagine is a lot of like tricks behind the scenes to make that world feel bigger than it actually is. Like a lot of things were like basically the only thing that ever really exists is like kind of like what's right in front of your face, what you can see. And the moment you're not looking at it, like stuff starts changing behind you, so that it does this really cool thing where it makes you feel like it gives you that feeling of like actually being like lost in the woods. Sure. Because like. You're like, was that tree just there? I don't remember that tree being there. And just like, it makes you feel really just like tense and frightened the entire time. And I think it was a really cool way of approaching it. Because the game ultimately ends up feeling pretty large, but I'm pretty sure it was not nearly as big as I thought it was. And that's a pretty cool accomplishment, I would say.
I want to give a honorable mention to Disco Elysium.
Yes, Disco Elysium.
For Martinet and Revocol and the amount of like history that place seems to have. Yeah. Kind of regardless of the game itself. You know? Yeah. For sure.
How long was their first
Way
award?
too fucking long.
It was so long.
Way too long.
Took forever.
It was a big
Did it just
award.
Get quieter for anybody?
It's a big award. No.
Or maybe
that's you.
Maybe that's just me. Okay. Our second award category tonight is Best New Gameplay Experience.
Okay. I'll try to be a little quicker here.
All right. Here we go. My runner-up tonight is Death Stranding.
Oh.
It just kind of just goes hand in hand with what Hideo Kojima, was saying leading up to the release of that game in terms of like wanting to create something that didn't feel like anything else ever before, and he was creating a new genre. Quote unquote. I don't know.
Strand game.
Yeah, Strand. I don't know if he was necessarily successful in creating a new genre. I ended up likening it to more of a survival game in the past few weeks when I talked about it. But it certainly had this like feel to it that I've never experienced before, and like I've never played a game that felt quite like this. Even if the actual minutia of what you were doing was familiar. Does that make sense? Sure. Really cool accomplishment there. But my winner for this category is gonna go to Disco Elysium, because holy shit, I have never played anything like Disco Elysium. In fact, Disco Elysium is like maybe the closest I've ever come to like playing like a tabletop RPG. Sure. Like really getting into a tabletop RPG. Like I spent 34 hours playing with this game. And so much of like what's great about it is like communicated through really clever writing and dialogue, and just a really interesting like the dice roll system and like how everything is based off of decisions you make, and but the way it's all presented, like all these things I'm saying, I realize maybe sound like, yeah, Nick, that sounds like a video game, but like the way they're presented is really unlike anything I've ever seen before, and it works so fucking good. And I'm sure we'll talk more about Disco Elysium tonight,
especially next week.
Especially next week. But I'll just leave it at that. I think that game is kind of unlike anything I've ever played before.
My runner-up, I'm going to give it to a game called Superliminal. Because I think the core gameplay gimmick in that game was so smart and fresh.
That was also my runner-up.
Okay, cool. It's so smart and fresh that like it blows my mind. I mean, it blew my mind when they first started showing off this tech 7 years ago. It still blew my mind when I played this game. Just the idea that a game... an object is as large as you're kind of perceiving it, and how that becomes a Portal style puzzle game through that very core mechanic was so smart.
It takes the concept of I'm pinching your head
exactly,
and makes it like a reality. Yeah, where it's like I perceive your head to be this tiny, so it is.
It is. Yeah.
And that's really cool. If we've talked about it a few times on recent shows.
Yeah.
I know Crispy's talked about it and Brad's talked about it, and I think all three of you
all
talked about it.
Played it.
No, I'm just saying for anyone who's listening who maybe wants to know more about that game beyond what we're going to say about it right now, it's on several recent episodes. So
my winner though, I'm giving it to Baba Is You.
That's also my winner.
Damn it, Nolan! Y'all are like I feel like more so than other years, we all played the same shit.
Well, yeah.
I think
it's we've all played less shit. So.
I mean, I think 2019 was kind of one of those years where we've said it before. I don't think 2019 maybe was the best year in game. Like 2017 and 2018 were astounding, and 2019 is kind of
no. I'm not going to let you say that. What I think it is I think it's a game. We all played really good games, and we had strong recommendations, or they seemed so interesting that the rest of us decided we wanted to play it too. You know, that's sort of
sure.
Except Days Gone, yeah. But we'll get to that.
Will we though?
To answer us later, real quick in chat. No, Superliminal, not on Steam. It's on Epic Games Store.
Epic Games Store, yeah. Baba Is You is my winner. This is the game where,
dude, you know what, Brad? This game's fucking hard.
It's hard, but it is
probably
brilliant.
The hardest game I played.
I don't feel like we hear Nolan say that very often.
This is harder than Sekiro. I'm telling you.
Nick, you have no idea how many times I started a level in this game. I was like, fuck this. And went and played a different level. And I was like, fuck this. And then went and played a different level. And I was like, fuck this. And I would, for fucking 20 minutes, just keep swapping between levels just because I was like, I want to win. I just want one level that I can fucking finish without, racking my brain.
It feels so good.
You can't have it, Nolan. You can't have it.
It feels so good when you figure it out because you never accidentally stumble onto it. You, you see it, in the fucking Matrix code. Yeah. You're like, I know what this is doing. This sneaky-ass fucking level. Mm-hmm. Real quick, the elevator pitch, in case you don't know what Baba Is You is, it's a top down, think of a block moving puzzle game, but the rules for how you interact with that puzzle are actually pieces in the level that you can move around.
They're defined by physical pieces on the board.
So you're changing the rules and the definitions of things by moving around those words as well as other objects. You have to try.
You have to focus on changing the rules and then adhering to the rules that you just changed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
The freshest, most creative new gameplay experience I played this year, and that's why it's my winner.
Yep.
All right.
With me.
It's pretty wild.
Speaking of wild, Crispy, what's your runner-up for
Outer Wild?
My runner-up for best new gameplay experience is Supraland.
Hell
yes. Pretty delightful.
Did you finish that game? I mean,
nope.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards no because I don't think you just recently finished
I just recently
it, right?
finished
it as well.
I know you recently played it though,
sick.
right? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I don't know. I got really far actually, and
I mean, it's fine. I'm not ragging on you for not finishing
away.
it. Crispy, the number of games on my list this year I didn't finish is astounding. But if you got stuck, I would definitely challenge you to try and get unstuck.
Superland's another very challenging game.
Oh no, yeah.
Puzzles are tricky.
Some of the I don't want to say later ones. I think eventually you start getting some of the upgrades you get make it almost easier. But there's maybe 2/3 of the way through that game. There's some really tough shit.
Oh yeah.
I got really frustrated and
racking my brain.
There's a place where you're inside this really tight building. There's those wall. I'm trying to describe it.
So building with walls.
Oh, yeah, thank you. you have to like pass the key through a wall, and you have to go around inside, and then you're like shooting like an object through like this like
Yellow
fucking,
barrier.
Yes.
Oh,
that
fuck
building.
that, yeah.
Dude, that building was
Tricky.
so fucking hard.
It's tricky. Yeah.
I just remember getting stuck there for so long.
Fiendishly tricky. This is such an underrated puzzle game that it kills me. If you're a fan of like Portal, Talos Principle, Witness, you should absolutely play Super.
But also a fan of things like
as we just spoke for Crispy.
Yeah. Sorry, Crispy.
My winner for best new gameplay experience is Outer Wilds.
Nice.
Did
I what?
Did you play it earlier in the year and I'm just forgetting?
No, he's been playing it recently.
Oh, you've been playing it recently?
And I played it earlier in the year
Oh,
when my computer couldn't handle
that
it.
game is
And now it can?
And now it can.
nice, sweet. That game is so fucking good.
It's delightful. It's not really anything like it out there.
That's fucking true.
Yeah, that's a fact.
really fucking true. Oh man, I hope you get around to completing that.
I mean, I didn't finish Outer Wilds.
Oh man, y'all got
It's-
to.
it's also-
I'm
I
telling
know,
you.
dude. It's all my fucking. Like I said to Crispy, there's plenty of games I have not finished.
seems
I've
like-
not finished Outer Wilds. I loved everything I played.
I'm really
of it.
glad Crispy's going back to it. It's one of those games I'm scared. I'm like I'm thinking about what it would be like to like stop playing it and try and go back to it, like because so
Well,
much.
you
of it-
basically have to restart.
You think no, you
don't
mean,
have
can't-
to.
You
Well,
think
I'm not
think
saying-
about the war.
Well, I'm not saying you have to physically restart. I'm just saying
to
like
relearn
you have to
everything.
relearn everything. I mean, yeah, just I mean, I have to remember. Okay, what did I see on this world, and what did I hear, and this guy like reference this, and yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, you restart the game every 22 minutes, Nick. Basically,
I guess that's
But I'm
true.
saying you'll like a lot of what you previously kind of learned and understood. You kind of have to relearn.
And once
now.
you know it, though, I mean, it's a game about exploration, and the reward is knowledge. You know, it's nuts. It's
Crispy, was that you that was talking about like the ship, like flying the ship was a pain in the dick recently?
Yes.
How's that going? Is it still a pain in the dick?
It is. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played. I don't think I played since last time we talked. Yeah, I don't play video games really. I don't know why I'm here. It's tough because of the full. Yeah, yes.
All right.
Next category.
yes,
What is our next category?
quick honorable mentions.
Oh shit! I forget.
I want to say I don't think Telling Lies gets enough credit for its newness because it's very similar to Her Story, but I think the way you're looking at conversations
that'll
back-
come up again, Brad.
Okay, good. Also, I think Dicey Dungeons was really cool. With the way dice means everything, and
Fucking Slay the Spire.
Yeah. Well, I
And
don't think
Slay
that-
the Spire
I don't
will
think
come
that
up
game's
again.
gonna come up again at all, Crispy.
And Risk of Rain 2
Yes.
for the way it reinvented itself.
Yeah.
That's right, because Risk of Rain 2 is very different from Risk of Rain 1.
not really. Actually.
Well, Risk of Rain 1 is like a 2D
Yeah,
side
yeah.
scroller.
perspective is different.
Yeah.
But, any other honorable mentions?
I put Blair Witch again for best gameplay experience, just because of the way it makes you feel like lost. Like it makes you feel disoriented and
Much like the young. Okay, continue.
Okay.
I mean, I was just gonna say like
The young
literally
people
the
lost in the forest of Blair Witch.
literally the point of that game, or like the goal from that game, is like to make you feel disoriented and like what it's like, that fear that like sets in when you realize, oh no, I'm lost somewhere and like in the woods and I have no idea which way is up or down or how to get back to civilization. And it does like a really good job of creating that sense, and like that effect in and of itself what makes it an honorable mention for me.
What's next, Nick?
Best new enemy or boss. And my runner-up for best new enemy or boss is actually, I looked this up because I didn't know what the enemy was called. I'm not making this up. The enemy is called
You made that up.
Humanimals
You made that
The
up.
fuck?
from Metro Exodus.
Humanimals.
According to the wiki, they're called Humanimals.
Did you have to look it up because you hate that game?
No, I had to look it up because I don't know what any of the things are called in there. But I was like, I have to write it down
gotcha,
somehow.
gotcha. I looked some stuff up.
Specifically, the Humanimals are this like they're in the desert area. I think they're in two areas in the game, but like, so if you remember, the game is broken up into seasons, right?
Didn't know that.
Damn it, Nolan.
We've
talked about this.
I literally know nothing of Metro Exodus. Maybe you talked about it on like a show I wasn't on, or I just tuned you out because you're talking about Metro Exodus.
That's what I'm leaning towards. But the game is broken up into seasons, so you're on this big train ride going across the country.
So it's like Stardew Valley?
I don't know. I've never played Stardew Valley. But
it's broken up into seasons.
Okay, well, when you
there's
stop,
a train.
Tell us about this enemy.
In the spring, you stop in this desert area, and like it's just completely dehydrated. There's no water, and it's just sand for miles, right?
I'm familiar with what a desert is.
And there's these
I hate sand.
There's these humanoid enemies that are called humanimals, but they're really cool because the way they introduce them to. We always talk about like how it's really cool when they introduce an enemy or a boss like just naturally, like
sure,
without doing like a weird cutscene.
Yeah, there's no. It's just there.
I remember walking into this like house to get away from this like sandstorm. What are you laughing?
My winner is also the humanimal.
Well, give me a second.
It's the name. Okay, go.
I know it's a stupid
That would
name.
save time at least.
But like I walk into this building and I was taking shelter because there's like sandstorms that can blow through whatever. And I walk into this building and like I look over and everything is like sand colored. There's this wall and there's this I was like, is that a person? And he's like standing up against the wall, like flat against the wall, but he's like covered in sand. And all I saw was his eyes. And like just the general outline.
Oh, that's cool.
He was like pressed up against the wall, and I was like, I think that's a person. And I was like, there's no way. And I got closer to it, and then it fucking jumped off the wall.
He was
at
like,
me.
no, it's a humanimal.
I know it's a stupid fucking name, but like they bury themselves.
Did you get like a codex entry? Humanimal.
No, I looked it up in the wiki.
Oh.
They bury themselves in the sand to like hide themselves, and like every once in a while you can like catch like a sight of them before they attack you.
You just like see some eyes in the sand.
Yeah, you can see eyes in the sand and shit,
cool.
and it's crazy.
You just see a penis sticking up.
Slade says, "Oh, the humanimal." I don't know if that's sincere
Of
or
course.
not.
It's a dumbass name, but it's a really cool enemy type.
Humanimal.
But my winner, of course, I feel like has to go to Mr. X. There they are.
That's also my winner.
The humanimal.
Is it my winner?
Look at that. I didn't make it up. Humanimal.
That's a fucking zombie.
I mean, yes, they're humans.
He
They're
doesn't
like
even have like animal
It's
features.
also part animal.
they're
Like, why doesn't he have a trunk?
Oh, he has a trunk.
they're
Tusks.
They're
Or, like,
they're irradiated
webbed
zombies.
feet.
Okay, but they bury themselves in the sand. Go fuck yourself.
Nick, I don't like it.
I know you don't. But Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, I have never been more frightened in my life, I think, than when I'm trying to do anything in Resident Evil. Like, just the concept. So it took, like, you remember Resident Evil 3, when it came out back on the PS1, it was kind of like, oh, it's super scary because you never know when Nemesis could jump out and scare you. Yep. This is literally, you could be walking anywhere in that game and you just hear his footsteps.
Yeah.
And the fact that you hear him, you know he's close, and you just kind of have to like use your directional hearing to kind of like, where the fuck is he coming from? And like, there's times where I'm like, I hope I'm making the right call, because if I'm mishearing this, I'm about to walk through this door and I could walk right into his chest. And like, that is so terrifying. But like, they give you all these objectives. Like in Resident Evil 2 is like all these things you have to do, and you have to do them again. But now you have to do them while trying to evade this thing, and it completely like destroys any sense of like safety you have. And that's all. I'll leave it at that. I know Crispy's not to this point yet, so I don't want to spoil anything for it. But woo, it fucks you up. But like in such a good way. I've never felt this way playing a horror game before, and that's so good.
Yeah, this was also my winner. It's just, and the reason I think it counts as like a best new enemy is because they completely redesigned it. I mean, Mr. X was in Resident Evil 2, but it didn't work like it does.
He was in like
game.
Specific places. Like once he drops into they drop him into the building. Like you knew if you go into this hallway at this time, he was going to be there. But once you went through a door, you were safe.
This was a persistent terror that really did kind of like. I spent a lot of time just like waiting in safe rooms for footsteps to get quieter.
Safe rooms of which there are not many.
Until I realized, no, like the only way this is going to work, the only way I'm going to be able to progress in this game is if I just man up and get the shit done that I need to get done, knowing that Mr. X is eventually going to find me. And I'm just going to have to go when he does. And it really changed the feel of that game, and it made it awesome. And hopefully Resident Evil 3 is going to be awesome too.
Yep.
Because they said they're basing Nemesis on that AI, and evolving it from there.
I mean, everyone who's like played like classic Resident Evil played this game was like, can you imagine Nemesis with this? And it's like, and Capcom's like, yes, we can.
My runner-up is, so I thought a lot about enemies and bosses from Slay the Spire because there's so many good ones, but I had to choose like one enemy or boss, and the one I choose, I mean, they're all assholes, they're all infamous, but I particularly hate the Time Eater because this is an Act 3 boss. It's one of the Act 3 bosses, and the reason he sucks so much is because he's like every boss in this game I feel like is designed around like punishing a certain relying on a certain archetype for your deck, right? Because this is a deck builder, and as you go along, you're building a deck, and you're trying, and sometimes you fall into these archetypes where like, oh, my deck is like fucking so good at like this certain combo, or so good at blocking, nothing can stop me. And there's always a boss that says, no, you can't fucking rely on that shit.
Your deck has no power.
Yeah, or you can't rely on the shit. You're gonna need to make a balanced deck, and the Time Eater specifically infamous because after you play 10 cards, it immediately ends that whatever turn is going on that turn, no matter how much energy you have left, and the boss buffs. He gets stronger, and then it resets. And then next time you play another 10 cards, no matter the turn, it immediately stops, and he gets stronger. And you could be at the very beginning of your turn with all of your energy and all like an amazing combo, but like he's at 9, and all you could do is play one more card, and then the turn ends, and you're just fucked, right? So every boss requires a lot of like strategy, but this one just sort of makes you kind of slow the game down and not rely on like really spammy combos like infinites and stuff. Yeah. Because a lot of like the cheesiest shit in the game is when you can kind of go infinite on a certain combo, and like I said, a lot of really well designed bosses, but like this one is like super, like figuring this guy out early on was like kind of a tough challenge for me. And yeah, that's my runner-up, and my winner is Mr. X. And I could have given this to a bunch of Monster Hunter Iceborne bosses because they're all great, but I thought that was unfair. So
thank you,
Nolan.
My runner-up,
the Humanimals.
No, that's my winner. The rats from A Plague Tale Innocence.
That was an honorable mention for me.
So one of they're not just like an enemy, it's the way they kind of add a puzzle element to the game.
Yeah,
the way you have to interact with them and the world, and you have to see yourself get eaten and shit. But I really enjoyed that kind of aspect of it. You know, you're the fear of the rats, and like your fire's going
they're
out,
both
and they're getting
an
closer.
enemy and a tool.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just like when you're holding a torch and you just see them like open up. I wish like rats actually like in real life like scared me more. Like I wish, you know, like for me, it's
have you been around?
Have you been around many rats?
Have you ever been around 1,000 rats?
No, but here's the thing. It's
I
like,
don't think you're gonna be like cool.
I'm not sure, but I mean, like they don't like have that like skin crawly effect that some people have when they see like snakes or spiders or whatever. But like,
never met a rat. He's never met a rat.
He's never.
Have you?
He's never been safe in his home and seen a rat like, skitter by, and just that entire illusion of safety and comfort shattered.
Like,
you have any idea how fast they are and like the tiny spaces they can squeeze into?
Yeah,
and they'll eat you.
They will.
They can like flatten their rib cage.
And they go right up your pee hole.
Right in your pee hole.
All right, and then my winner. Oh yeah, my winner is an actual boss. The Guardian Ape from Sekiro.
Oh, you know what? Fuck that boss.
Yeah.
If anybody here remembers,
I remember.
Almost.
I was watching your stream. I happened to pop into your stream.
That is the closest
cool
I've come to
design.
like breaking something expensive this generation.
Yeah.
Of gaming.
Yeah.
Yes. I've almost broke a controller.
He was tough.
Yeah, and then somebody told me after I finally beat him, someone was like, "Oh, can't wait for you to fight 2 of them," and I was like,
"Yep,
kill me." But you know what's funny? I beat that on my first try.
Well, I mean,
second try. Actually.
You got a little bit better at the game. You know, it's one of those things where the more you play, the better you get. The more you kind of understand the mechanics. You
the
get some
Guardian
better
Ape's
abilities.
cool
I know,
because
and
of the twist.
That's why I love
Correct,
Sekiro.
yes. The twist is what makes the Guardian Ape cool, and I don't want to get into the twist because I'm sure there are people out there who haven't played Sekiro.
And that twist was pretty shocking.
Yes.
I wish I didn't have to watch it 50,000 times.
Oh yeah, that does suck.
But like the first time it happened, I was like, fucking kill me.
There's so many awesome like surprise second or third forms in Sekiro that you have to watch 9,000 times.
Yeah, that is true too. But yeah, that's mine.
Cool. All right, Crispy.
My runner-up or my winner?
Runner-up.
Runner-up. Okay, my runner-up. My runner-up for best boss villain. I just went with bosses.
Sure, that's true.
Sure.
Because I hate enemies.
Sure.
So my runner-up was Zangetsu from Bloodstained. Because that guy was just cool and he had a cool sword.
He was pretty cool.
And voiced by
And you do technically
David Hayter.
Yep.
Yeah. He was
Really?
fucking cool.
Yeah.
And, that's cool.
I feel like that's a game that
he felt like a Belmont fight. Like when you fight like a Belmont in one of like the other Igavanias.
Yeah.
It feels like you're fighting just a dude with like a small set of abilities, but he can use them well. And you gotta figure out how to like navigate around it. As he tries to zone you out and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really engaging fight, and the character's just like
cool.
He's pretty cool.
kind of fucking cool.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And you
where's the
get to play
Zangetsu
him.
DLC?
Yeah.
I fucking told you, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It'd be ages if we ever get it.
And my winner, I'm giving to Lancer from Deltarune.
Oh, I can't forget it.
Deltarune. That's right.
I forgot about Deltarune.
I don't know if that counts, but fuck you.
Is it?
I think it came out in January.
Is Deltarune one of those games where like if you say what the boss is, it's kind of like a spoiler? I feel like a lot of people were.
No.
Okay.
Deltarune or Lancer is like this. I mean, he's very similar to Sans, but if Sans and Papyrus were mixed together, and like he is kind of like the villain for most of the game that you're fighting.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Oh, was Deltarune October 2018?
Semantics.
Okay, you know what? I
Was
don't
it?
care. I don't fucking care. First of all, second of all, if we're just gonna date check every game I put out there, I'm going home.
I'll give it to you.
I don't have a better answer than that. I
could have sworn that game was this year.
Honorable
I
mentions.
think it maybe came out on like PC or something, and then came out on like consoles or something this year.
Honorable
That's
mention
fine.
to Namiel, Velkana, all the cast of Monster Hunter Iceborne. One Bloodstain enemy that stood out for me is called, I had to look this up, Tamako Death. She was the I guess she's like a witch who plays the electric guitar.
on her little on the chariot.
She's on a chariot later.
Yeah.
But she'll start playing her guitar and starts playing metal music in the whole room. You're like, what the fuck is that? And then flames start shooting out of her guitar, and you can get her shard.
Yes.
So you can like summon her.
Yes.
And the more you level it up, the longer she's there jamming on that song. And I got a mod that replaced that song with a metal version of Bloody Tears, and it was just like the coolest shit. So fucking Tamako Death, yeah.
That was a pretty cool enemy.
Tobacco.
Yeah, Tamako.
Tamako.
Tastes like grandma.
You know what? You're right. I'm gonna change my answer from Lancer to the Stormtroopers from Jedi Fallen Order.
Sure.
The Stormtrooper? It's just I forgot.
enemy.
It's enemy and boss.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that works. As long as you didn't say like the Stormtroopers from KOTOR.
Yeah. That was a fucking joke, but okay.
Yeah,
Did you play?
there was a lot of good enemies in
I feel
Bloodstained.
like the best games I played this year didn't really have enemies.
Yeah,
Zombies, man.
A lot of the games I
Zombies.
played, yeah.
Zombies in Resident Evil 2.
Everything
But Dicey Dungeons.
Stop it.
Dicey Dungeons had a lot of really good bosses, and a lot of really just like random enemies in the world that you interacted with. I'm not going to list them all because I don't know
that
most of
kid
their names.
from
but
Hypnospace Outlaw. Does that count as an enemy?
I don't know.
Zane.
I didn't play
Zane
enough
sucks.
Hypnospace Outlaw.
Or
Oh,
the
that's so
Kuno
good.
from
Oh,
Disco
God,
Elysium.
That was
Is he an
the
enemy?
worst. Wait,
Yes. I hate that kid.
this category is not like fucking worst people of the year. Although if your empathy stat is high enough, but maybe y'all's wasn't.
I tried to do so many things with Kuno but he shot me down no matter what I did.
What the fuck you know about Kuno?
Fucking Kuno.
I hate that kid.
Dude, I fucking save scum that guy. I was like, you're gonna fucking tell me. And that little bitch over there is gonna shut the fuck up.
She's the worst.
She was so annoying.
Yeah, I shot her. And I shot her in the fucking face and saved scummed it.
Wait,
I don't
really?
care. You could shoot her in the fucking face.
I didn't
Ends
try
the
and
game,
shoot her.
but yeah.
It ends the game.
Oh, really? I didn't try and shoot her.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk
So
more about
what you're
this
saying
though,
is you got the best ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And runner up for, a honorable mention for me on enemies. I'm gonna give to my first. For the record, we are almost 4 categories in. I have not mentioned Days Gone yet. That's about to change.
Well, now you just mentioned it.
I want to mention the newts.
the news.
The newts from Days Gone are creepy as shit.
Newt Scamander?
They're basically
Which Left 4
zombie.
Dead
They're
zombie is this?
zombie children. They're like
Children of the Corn?
like small children, like
Toddlers?
Zombie
toddlers?
Zombie toddlers.
I've seen some footage of them.
But it's creepy. It's creepy because they very rarely try and attack you.
Mm-hmm.
They're more like, I guess you would think of them like as scavengers or whatever. But you can see them in big groups. But they're climbing all over buildings and stuff. And a lot of times I'll just be walking by a house and I'll just hear a noise and I'll kind of look up and you just see one of their heads poking over the side of the roof looking at me, and then they'll just disappear. And half the time you don't even need to kill them. They're just really creepy fucking
Like when Henry wants a
zombie
Pop
children.
Tart in the morning, am I right?
Right, exactly.
What?
They're so cool. They're so fucking cool. Anyways, one more category, and then we'll take our first break. What are we calling this one?
We're calling it
Best multiplayer
experience.
experience.
Best multiplayer.
Best experience.
Best game we experienced with another person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Boom.
So you guys are gonna name a bunch of single player games that
Hey, fuck you,
you play
okay?
with your wives or girlfriends.
No, we'll call it, the fucking honorary Rocket League game. Fuck you, Crispy.
This is the Fuck You Crispy Award.
He tried to get him. And he failed. All right.
Best game we played with other people.
My runner-up.
Just say it. When we get to Crispy, we'll change it to best online shooter.
Borderlands 3. Borderlands.
Oh, that's
3.
an online shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You played that online?
I played a lot of Borderlands 3. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
I forgot that game existed.
With Robin. It was her most anticipated game of the year. Played it. I had a good time playing it with her.
Well, then why are you why are you hesitating?
Yeah, because y'all hate Borderlands, and I
No, but
understand.
stop
I
it.
get it. I get
I
it.
mean, I do, but who cares?
I mean,
Borderlands is bad.
this is also representative of
Borderlands is not bad. Just like Hot Topic is not bad.
No, but 3 is bad.
Objectively.
I mean,
Nick,
In conclusion, you should feel
hold on,
bad.
Nick, it doesn't matter if the game is bad. If you had a good time playing it with Robin, it's fine.
That's sort of the spirit
That's
of
one
the award.
there's so many games out there that are bad that I've had fun because I've played them with someone else. That can
Yes.
make it fun.
I mean, I would.
Lord of the Rings, the Third Age.
Assassin's Creed Unity
Yeah.
was fun because I fucking played it with other people, and
That's
that
true.
made it fun.
That's
the game was glitchy and bad as fuck, but I enjoyed my time with it
Yeah.
because I played it with people.
I find Borderlands to be fine. You know what I mean?
Well, what's your fucking winner? Because you obviously don't want to talk about
My
Borderlands.
winner is. I feel like Crispy's gonna call me out.
Hey, don't worry about Crispy.
Death Stranding.
No, that's
why
cool.
am I-
that is the fucking perfect
that
winner.
is fair. Why?
It's a Strand game. That's the whole point.
Hey, my name's Sam too. It's a reference to the game.
I know. What a really cool way to make
A world.
hermits like me enjoy a multiplayer experience. I can interact with other people very loosely, and I can feel their presence around me, but I never actually have to
This game
go.
may- this
I
game
never
may-
have to actually do anything to make that connection, or I don't have to I don't have to talk to somebody. I can just kind of feel their impact on my world, and feel that they're there. I'm not alone.
This game made me hate people. I was like, who the fuck would put a zip line here? This is the worst place for a fucking zip line.
But man, there's so many zipline networks that I finished because of other people's. I was like, I don't have enough materials to make 2 zip lines, but if I connect to that one that someone else left, I can probably still accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, and that shit's pretty cool. I'll just leave it at that.
My runner up for best game I played with another person, I'm gonna give it to Monster Hunter Iceborne. So I played all of Monster Hunter World by myself, right? And I told myself going into Iceborne that like I could do this by myself again, but I'm going to choose to play with another person. I played with Wind.
Oh no, Windolfer.
AKA Windolfer, AKA just Wind. And you know, it's a really good time. I completely understand why people play Monster Hunter with other people because hey, you know, it's kind of designed that way and it's still fun. And I had a really good time playing Monster Hunter with Wind. But my winner is I'm going to give it to Wargroove. Wargroove, you might. I
remember you getting really angry at people
for not playing with me. Well, but the reason it still worked is because of the way it was designed, and this is why it wins my award. So if you're familiar with Wargroove, it is a very sort of faithful homage to the Advance Wars series. You know, the one that Nintendo completely forgot about. By the way, they announced a new Fire Emblem character for Smash today. Those fucking assholes. Jesus fucking Christ.
How many is that now? Like 18?
I mean, pretty close. You're not far off. Yeah. Motherfuckers. But Wargroove was especially cool, the multiplayer, because it sort of had a play-by-mail sort of asynchronous multiplayer mode. And because it's a turn-based strategy game, you could take your turn and then, you know, sort of send the game to the other person you're playing with. And because you can have multiple games going at once, I would have like 10 games set up playing with other people. I might be playing, you know, 2 maps with one person, 2 maps with someone else, you know, 1 map with a few more people. That way, if some people aren't taking their fucking turns, you know, you'll always like Nolan and some other people in our community
who will remain nameless.
You'll get a good match going with somebody who's, you know, actively on their fucking Switch or wherever they're playing, and you know, you start sending turns real quick back and forth because it starts to get real tense.
It's like playing Advance Wars, but like Words with Friends.
I mean, yeah, it's exactly like Words with Friends in that way. And honestly, any turn-based multiplayer game should have this style of multiplayer because it's like, it's so fucking good. And fuck all of y'all for some of y'all hung around. You know, we played for a few weeks and it was a really good time. Also, new expansion coming out next month. So
all right, Brad will be really upset at people next month. All right, Nolan.
My runner-up is Apex Legends.
Yes.
I played a shit ton of this game surrounding its release. I don't know how many hours I put in, but quite a bit. Quite a bit with the community. Got a few wins in there. That was always fun. I think this is a good game. I liked it because it wasn't like a Fortnite. It was something I didn't have to be able to fucking build and do this and all. I don't know. I enjoyed the teamwork of it, and I enjoyed the characters. Had a good time.
Boner killer, by the way.
Jesus Christ!
You.
Oh, y'all.
The only one who doesn't have fucking headphones.
What are your fucking headphones, Brad? You would have killed your own ears.
Yeah,
Banjo Kazooie's real fucking relevant.
Oh my god!
And then my winner is actually going to be Telling Lies.
Put my headphones on.
Because yes, I did play it with Bernadette.
This was this was an honorable mention for me. And fuck
There's
you.
nothing wrong
The way
with
you play
fucking-
this game and the way you can play with multiple people absolutely makes this count. So
Yes,
fuck you, Crispy.
Very much so. What is wrong? What is this? Is the same thing as her story. It's you trying to interact with some like video logs to solve a mystery, and doing it with someone else is much more.
Two heads are better than
I
one.
played her story alone too.
Same with.
And I wouldn't have traded that for anything.
Same with Hypnospace Outlaw. Very similar to Telling Lies. You know, kind of unraveling.
My runner-up was Untitled Goose Game because we all played that game separately in our homes.
I did not play that game.
We shared the experience.
You are null and void because I
It's a
did not play that
multiplayer
game.
I didn't play it either, fucker.
See, null and void.
It's gonna be Resident Evil 2 for me, dog, because Nick played that game, and then he's like, "You should play this game," and then I played the game, and then we both played the game. So multiplayer.
Okay. Well, how many expansions of Destiny won awards for you?
Snap. That doesn't.
What is happening right now?
I don't know.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about Telling Lies?
I mean, we've talked about it on the show plenty. I had a good time solving the mystery, if you can say that. It's one of those things where the game just kind of ends.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I'd recommend that game to anyone to play with someone else or by themselves if they so choose.
Yeah.
All right, Crispy, show us how it's done.
No. This award show is a travesty.
No, listen, Crispy.
This award show is a travesty.
Crispy.
My runner-up.
I'm
for
serious. The reason I keep
multi-co-op.
this around is because you do play a lot of multiplayer games. This dude fights me every year. Get rid of it, Brad. Get fucking rid of it. Everyone hates multiplayer games. I'm like,
That
no.
is not what I said.
My friend Crispy
Nick-
plays a lot of multiplayer. No, this does kind of happen each year. It's okay,
But I
Nick.
don't say it like that.
I know. But my friend Crispy plays a
You
lot of
punk
multiplayer
ass.
games, and I want to hear about them. So,
I actually didn't play that many multiplayer games this year.
well, you know.
My winner, I don't know. I don't think it counts.
What's your runner-up?
My runner-up is Apex Legends. It's a really fun game, and I fucking hate it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It just makes you hate yourself.
It does.
And hate strangers and hate friends.
Pretty much
And
hate humanity.
It's like...
But it's well made.
like I don't know why there's aim down sights in that game when aim down sights always get you killed and hip firing is like so supernaturally accurate. I fucking hate that fucking game, and I played like 200 hours of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Accurate.
Yeah, I went back to Overwatch the other day. I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I loaded up Overwatch and started playing it, and it was joyful.
Please.
And it's like I forgot that multiplayer games can be fun.
I forgot what
I
happened.
forgot that used to be part of it.
That's funny.
My winner was Risk of Rain 2 because that actually is a really fun co-op game. I don't know if that fucking counts.
It counts.
If fucking Telling Lies counts, then Risk of Rain 2 counts.
But that's you're
And-
saying an actual multiplayer game.
Yeah, I know.
There-
But
there's
like
a
that might
difference.
not be of
Did you-
the appropriate release window.
No, but I
I
mean, with these awards, that is way looser.
Also,
Yeah.
I do think Tetris 99 deserves
No, that's
an
a-
honorable
yeah,
mention.
that's good.
Oh, I forgot about
If
that.
for no other reason than the fact that like it seems like pretty quickly a bunch of like gamers jumped into that game and were like, all right, we're gonna fucking play Tetris 99 Battle Royale, and then like a bunch of like middle-aged moms from the Midwest found it and just like
Demolished.
wrecked them,
Yeah.
like because they.
Honorable mention for me, Luigi's Mansion 3. I did play that with Malia. It was pretty fun. Also,
Luigi!
Devotion. The reason it does count is because since I was so scared playing that game, I would give the controller to Malia and she'd make me walk forward in the game while I just observed.
So you never actually played it.
We did, but we were kind of switching back and forth. When I get too scared, she controlled the sticks, but it made it scarier because I had no control over my body.
You had no control over your body.
Yeah.
I actually
Sounds
put
about right.
I actually put as an honorable mention here. I don't know if this counts. I put Final Fantasy 14 in here because I did play 20 hours of Final Fantasy 14 this year, but I didn't get
Was
to
it good?
but I didn't get to the content that was like released this year.
Yeah.
So I don't think that counts.
But with these awards, it doesn't matter what year they came out in, really, I guess. Well, not with this type of award.
I mean, I
I
did
don't
play 20 hours of Final Fantasy 14. I played more Final Fantasy 14 this year than any other actual multiplayer experience I had. Because I don't think I crossed 20 hours in
Anything
Borderlands
else?
3.
Anybody?
Yeah, I got an honorable mention for Resident Evil 5.
Sure. I thought about that as well, but that did not come out this
I know,
year.
that's why it's
But
an honorable mention, because me and Nick played through that game.
it was
Resident
great.
Evil 4. That was a
And
great
I was going to bring up
multiplayer.
We
Resident
did-
Evil 4 too,
we all
because
played
we
that
all
together.
played it together.
That was a
Okay.
multiplayer experience.
Okay, you know what, Nick? Let's cut this award next year since Crispy's being a jerk.
No, but there's good multiplayer games coming out this year.
You've lost your privileges. All right.
Okay.
Overwatch? Okay. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do the following awards: Best Comfort Food, Most Out of My Comfort Zone, Best Debut, and Best Game Nobody Played.
Ooh.
But during the break, you can stick around for
Untitled Goose Game, apparently.
since I'm not. We're going to do how about we do a sample from Nolan's soundtrack?
You would say that.
Do you want to
Nick.
set it up? Do you know which ones you're
Yeah,
picking?
no, I do.
All right, then set it up.
So my best soundtrack of 2019 comes from Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda. That is the official title. Chris Davis, I don't know which one you're going to play first. I had two songs in there. One of them play the shorter one of the two.
Okay.
You can view it based on size of file, probably. So that one, what was that one? I forget the title of that one. I don't have it written down in front of me. Lullaby Menu. It's like a spin on the Zelda's theme kind of. Yeah. But that's one of the things about the soundtrack that's so great. And Brad had kind of talked about it a little bit before the show, before we were live. Is just there's a lot of nostalgia in there, but the remixes of those songs are fucking choice.
Top notch.
And also,
I said Danny B plus nostalgia makes this unfair, but I'll allow it.
Danny B makes good music.
That's so kind of you.
But all of the songs also have that Necrodancer feel to them. So it's one of those things where I love Necrodancer. I've played a fucking lot of it. And plus my love of A Link to the Past, and you combine those two, holy shit, it's like perfect.
All right. Well, here we go. During the break, you can hear a sample from Nolan's soundtrack of the year, Cadence of Hyrule. We'll be back in just a moment, so if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere.
Quick break.
Back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got 4 more categories. I just put up 8 fingers.
Four more categories.
It's this weird Sakurai. Oh my god, did you watch the direct where it's like, this means 342? What the fuck is wrong with that man?
What are you talking about? I didn't see this.
Watch the direct from today where he announced Byleth. He's out of his fucking mind.
All right.
They even made a joke in the...
This is the show.
No,
this is the show, Brad.
Start it now.
No, it's too late. I've already started it. This is it. We're back in the show.
Fucking
We got 4 more categories, and since we took a longer break than we meant to, like we always do, we're gonna jump right in with our next category of best comfort food. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
My runner-up. This is a pretty self-explanatory category, I think.
Yeah,
right?
like PB&J or something.
Yeah, that is my runner-up. My runner-up for best comfort food is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Nice.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because I've never actually played Link's Awakening.
You fool!
This is my first time playing it, but it's a Zelda game.
You know what, Nick?
Maybe not a very...
You know what? I'm going to say that's okay.
Maybe not the most traditional Zelda game, I guess?
Define traditional, because I would say Link's Awakening is a traditional Zelda game. It's pretty
close. I mean, it just does some weird things.
Sure.
Some, off-the-wall things. But at its core, it's still a fun-ass Zelda game that is just cheery and delightful with some lovely music and some great dungeon design. It's, all the way around. It was. I wish it qualified maybe more. For me, I wish it qualified for more like awards or consideration, Game of the Year conversations like that.
It'll come up for me again.
But this is why when I'm looking at these categories, it's like how do you fit every type of game? What's the equivalent of sliding into a nice slipper? That's Link's Awakening.
Well, for me, my winner, like
or,
sliding into
eating some macaroni and cheese.
For me. Mm-hmm. As you put it, sliding into a nice slipper.
Mm-hmm.
This is it, guys. The first time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Days Gone. And the reason
what's that?
Brad's over here trying not to smile.
No, what are you talking about? I'm just sitting there.
Trying not to smile. I'm giving it to Days Gone because it's a new IP, but at its core, it is like. It's a game that's... Crispy's over here looking at me with, like, these mad eyes. Like, I know. It's a game that's kind of, like, made for me. And that's why I'm giving it my car. I love...
Bikers and zombies.
I love open world games.
Slavery.
Ooh,
How dare you? How dare you?
Hey.
That is completely out of context,
You've not
sir.
played the game.
Crispy, those days are gone.
They're not slaveries. They're prisoners with jobs.
They're not prisoners, though. All right. God damn it. You just completely derailed this. Days Gone.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, Crispy.
Slipping on a comfortable shoe.
I love open world.
It's made for you.
I love open world games. I love games for years I've talked about how much I love like games that are very cinematic and very story driven.
Sure.
And this game is very much that. So, it has new elements that I'll talk about later that I really appreciate. But like at its core, at its most base level, it is kind of just the kind of game that speaks to me the most. That I there's always one on my list every year, at least one of just the the grand open world, atmospheric, story-driven kind of game. So this year for me,
this is your shit. This is your shit.
This is my jam.
This is most comfort food, aka this is my shit award.
Yes, and Days Gone is my shit.
So my runner-up, I will say, there's 3 games I played this year that are like homages to such loving homages to
Brad games.
My favorite games, like some of my favorite games of all time. Mm-hmm. And one of them was an honorable mention, one of them was a runner-up, and one of them was a winner. The runner-up, I'm going to give it to Fail Seal Arbiter's Mark. This is such a faithful a recreation of all the magical shit from Final Fantasy Tactics, made by like an indie developer, and they just get so much of it right. The kind of person that I am who likes to live in a fucking menu, customizing all his characters, getting them all perfect, trying out all these different classes and abilities and equipment loadouts and stuff. Like, this game gets that stuff so right, just like Final Fantasy Tactics, and I just dipped my balls in it. I loved it. I loved it so much. But there's only one game that got me more than that, and that was Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, because
so that's my runner-up.
It should be your winner. No, this is
literally
Symphony of the Night, made by the person and people who made Symphony of the Night.
This game for Brad is that old. What was that old commercial where they're at the hotel with the free shampoo, and he's like, they got me, and he's like squirting the shampoo. And you remember that old commercial? Bernadette remembers it. Yeah.
You know what this video is?
That's Brad.
No, this is the ice cream video. Do the ice cream video.
Yeah, so moving around, warm it up.
Shards.
That's a 10.
Dishes. Crafting.
That's a 10.
That's a 10. That Bloodstained got it so right.
We've talked about this quite a bit on the show before, but I agree with you, Brad.
All the shards,
like leading up to it, I think both of us weren't the highest of highs.
We're actually going to talk about that later.
Okay, but I will say that I agree with you. As soon as I fucking booted up that game and started playing it, I couldn't fucking put it down.
This is
like it was just like, ooh, like that shard. Ooh, I'm gonna get another one of that shard. I want to like boost that one up. Like, ooh, I like this familiar. I need to get another one. I need to like use this one more so I can like, dude, yeah, like that was a game that was. Once it sinks its teeth in, it doesn't let go.
This is one of the few games this year that as soon as I started playing this game, I just opened that tube sock wide, and I just pooped into that sock until I was done with it. And I don't do that with many games anymore, right? I might play a lot of Monster Hunter, I might play a lot of Slay the Spire, but Bloodstained, I crapped in a sock until 50 hours later I was done with that thing. And I got so much Brad out of that fucking game. I loved it.
I think Bloodstained is one of those games.
I feel like there's going to be some people
that you can boot up and do nothing, but still enjoy every minute of it. Like, it's like you don't necessarily have an objective you're trying to do right now.
That's you're just kind of about Superland.
Sure. You're just kind of exploring around. It doesn't matter because you're still making progress to an extent. You're still like leveling up like your familiars. You're still potentially earning new shards. There are definitely plenty of enemies in that game. Drops are, percentage based. And so all of a sudden an enemy fucking you've killed 100 times before drops some item or some shard you've never seen before.
Or you kill it 100 times until you get that drop that it has.
That's true too. You definitely there were plenty of times where I would kill an enemy, get off the screen, go back on the screen, kill an enemy, get off the screen, just over and over and over, trying to get that fucking luck shard. I really fucking wanted that luck shard that one treasure chest guy, that mimic dropped. Oh my god!
And that is the definition of my shit, and that's why it's my winner.
Yeah. I just want to say, there's probably a lot of people out there who are listening who may not get the poop sock.
Poop sock a game. Poop sock a game. That's when you're so into a game, you don't have time to go to the bathroom. You just crap in a sock and you keep going.
Yep.
I feel like the logistics of trying to successfully get the poop into the sock would
it's got to be like a pretty big tube sock.
Would take longer than the time it would just take you to go to the bathroom.
I wear ankle socks.
Well,
yeah,
don't have big poops.
Yeah,
you gotta be very conservative.
Don't play Bloodstained with an ankle sock.
Little teeny poops.
Yep.
You need like a knee high.
Take a bunch of little poops throughout the day.
That's true. All right, so Bloodstained was my runner-up.
Uh-huh.
My winner is
Zelda?
No,
I got nothing.
Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
That
shit.
was a game that, like I said, it was the epitome of I would come home from work, boot up my Switch, because I got it on Switch. I regret that. Should have got it on PlayStation. But I would boot it up and just fucking go. And just like, well, once again, I didn't always have an objective. It was just more of like, oh, I'm gonna work on this now. Oh, I'm gonna make my I'm at the castle level, so I'm gonna make my defenses a little stronger because I know I'm gonna get some enemy waves coming pretty soon. And I would just just tinkering, just building, just exploring the world,
Just chipping away.
dude. That game,
It's so great because you have like a minimum requirement, but you don't care. You're still gonna make your bathroom beautiful.
oh god,
you know
yes.
what I mean?
Like if you put enough gold items in this bathroom, it becomes an elegant bathroom. Like whatever. Like you can raise the level of it. And there were so many times where it was like, these villagers, all they need is like a giant room with 30 beds in it. But you know what? I'm gonna make each of them their own bedroom, and they're gonna have their own little bed and a dresser, and they're gonna have a light, and they're gonna have a plaque with their name on it.
Gotta get your floor tiles perfect.
I was building like cliffside apartments.
Dude, yes, exactly. Just like, oh, this is gonna be nice. This is lovely,
no,
and like,
Nice like workout room with like a full glass wall.
yeah.
So like you can
You
see
put the weight
dudes.
sets in there, so the muscle
And
dudes
it's,
are
like,
fucking in
hanging
there
over-
working out.
hanging over the bar.
like Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's
a
very
whole shopping
meditative.
center.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's just one of those things where like sometimes you only needed like you just need one bathroom because everyone will go shit in there and you can collect their shit. Or you could have a series of bathrooms, or you could have like the shower room, and it's just like every single time you complete a room, and all the villagers run up and they're like, "Yay!"
They just give you
Yay!
hearts.
Yeah, dude, it's so like satisfying when everyone's just so happy. If you haven't played Dragon Quest Builders 2, this is one of the I skipped the first one and I kind of regretted it, but I think the advancements that were made in the second one just make it
joyful.
Your description you just gave, but that all three of y'all started talking about, I might need to modify my biggest regret category for
I mean,
Dude, the game
or
is-
you should just start playing.
I would like
Dude,
It's been on deep
It's
so.
the only game I played this year that didn't make me hate myself.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It's a delight.
It never betrayed me.
not at all.
All
It
right.
has its issues,
And
but it's great.
it's not perfect. No, very few games are. But it's just one of those things where every
can't
time
all be Days Gone.
every time you unlock a new blueprint,
I don't even think you believe that,
I
Nick.
don't. I just wanted to see Brad's face when I said it, and it was so worth
You're
it.
not taking the power back, Nick.
all right, well that's enough. Dragon Quest Builders 2, excellent
Crispy.
fucking game.
My runner-up is going to be Slay the Spire.
Hell
Yeah.
Because that was a very, like, I'm just going to sit here and I don't want to, like, talk to anybody. And I just want to use one hand to play a game and one hand to, like, jerk off.
It's like,
To
tell me about the other hand.
Crispy,
Yeah.
to slay the spire.
To slay my spire. Ah! High five. That's the hand I use.
How has that joke not been made yet?
I don't know.
That was good. Sorry. Slay the Spire.
That's what you're gonna call it from now on. Be right back. I'm gonna go slay the spire.
Gotta go slay that spire.
Both are pretty hard.
They get harder.
It's all about the deck building.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was
It's a good game.
Yeah, it was like that game where, like, if I didn't know what to play, that's the one I played.
That's the one.
It's one of those. It's like similar. It's one of those games you can easily just boot up, play a little bit, and
It's
you
always
you
there
might
for you.
you might have a bad run, but that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still like I don't want to say mindless, but to an extent you can, depending on how you're doing your run.
And when you get to the end of it, you're like, come on.
This guy.
Okay.
What's your
winner?
I'm also into poison builds. My winner is Dragon Quest Builders 2.
There it is.
Because again, that was the only game that was like nothing about that game displeased me.
Yeah. It's
I don't
like
know if it's a
life
perfect game, but like there's
No.
nothing about that game that made me upset or angry or anxious or anything. And it was just like fucking joyful. It was joyous.
See, I was starting to think about, like, what game did that for me this year? And the closest I can think of was Superland. But then I started to think about, there were times when I got, like, I hit, like, a wall or something in that game. And, like
if
it did start
well,
to, like,
I have to give an honorable mention to Apex Legends because that was another, like, that was a game that I only played that game with friends. I didn't play it alone because I don't want to be in that situation by myself, you know?
That's fine.
Because it's fucking hell. But that game has the exact opposite effect on me that something like Dragon Quest Builders 2 does. Like, that game just fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know why, but like, I'm addicted to the idea of like, oh, come on, just one more drop, you know, like.
I say the same thing when I'm playing Bloodstained.
It's fucked up, man. It's fucked, you know?
Nick, if I know you enjoyed Superland, and Dragon Quest Builders 2 is not as puzzly as Superland. It's actually a lot more straightforward. But what I would say is, like Crispy was saying, it's very delightful. You always know what's going on. It's not like Bloodstained in that, like, oh, this enemy, like, 0.01% of the time will drop this item. It's like when you're fighting that enemy, they're most likely going to drop it. You kind of know what you're getting into.
I'd recommend it to
it's
anyone,
a kid's
really.
game.
It's not.
It's not a kid's
It
game.
totally is.
It is not a...
It totally is a game for kids.
Can kids build this bathroom?
That
And
is
you
true.
guys-
Like, the kids' bathrooms are probably going to be pretty simple
And you guys
cubes with a
shouldn't
fucking bucket.
Be defensive about that because it's not a bad thing.
I would say
Like
it is
a game for
a-
kids because of exactly what he's saying. Like everything is perfectly clear at all times. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, like somebody will tell you 9 times exactly what you're supposed to do,
That is
and
true.
it'll be pretty easy to achieve that thing. Like combat is in the game, but it's kind of inconsequential once you realize, oh, I can just build a trench and all the bad guys fall in there.
Also, it didn't make Crispy hate himself. So it's like, if a game doesn't make you hate yourself, if there's no chance of it making you hate yourself, it must be for children.
All right, honorable mention, that third game that I didn't...
And you can curate your experience. So
my runner-up is War Groove. It's so Advanced Wars. Every time, I mean, I turned on that game, I knew exactly what to do because it's just like that moment in, what is it? That I know this, you know, and it's a very challenging game, but like I was so comfortable with this experience that I felt right at home playing Wargroove because it's Advance Wars basically.
Honorable mention for me, in all honesty, Death Stranding.
Jurassic Park.
It was one of those games where, like, similarly to Dragon Quest, when I would come home, I would boot up Death Stranding and be like, I'm just going to deliver a bunch of packages.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to advance the story. I'm going to spend like fucking 30 hours in this chapter, not because I can't advance the story, but just I want to deliver packages, man.
Yeah, it's just a comfortable loop they had in that game.
By the way, after our next award, we'll be half.
It's never too late, Crispy. You know, one honorable mention for me, and this is kind of I agree with Crispy about this also being a new gameplay experience, but at the same time, so Resident Evil 2 remake was so fresh and
This
so
was
new.
an honorable mention
but at the
for me.
same time, if you had played the original
Yeah.
Resident Evil, it was still familiar enough to like, and it had like spins on the same like music, like that song that they updated for the remake, but the theme that plays in the main hall of the police station is so like, it's one of my favorite tracks in gaming. It's like I love that, and like it hit that note for me when I first heard it. I was like, oh my god, I just felt like I was playing something that I'd known for so long, but at the same time it was like super fucking refreshing.
But what are the games would you say you played this year that were most out of your comfort zone, Nick?
Oh, nice transition.
The opposite, the flip.
All right, this is going to make Chris Davis happy. My runner-up is Ace Combat 7.
Oh yeah.
I played this. I haven't finished it yet. I would still like to. I do want to try the VR mode too. But I played a good amount of this, like 7 or 8 missions, I guess. I've never really sat down with the intention of like playing a flight combat game. Not since I think Aero Fighters Assault on the N64.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, deep cut. But this game is really polished, really well made, and I loved playing it in first person. I loved being in the cockpit view and like having it, just getting that feel of like maneuvering the plane, and you know, there's just something so like intense about being in the moment and like being in the cockpit and like not having that third person view. Like I get super into the dogfights. I fucking love that. Also, I know Chris Davis this is probably Chris Davis's soundtrack of the year. I don't know, but like has some great music, which I'm not very familiar with the series, so like that was really nice introduction to the series for me. I will eventually go back and finish it, but my winner for most out of my comfort zone is Disco Elysium. I mentioned it before. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I love the idea of like tabletop stuff, and maybe I'm not creative enough for it. I don't know, but like I've always had trouble like really setting into it and like getting serious about it. And this Disco Elysium felt like the perfect like middle ground between tabletop and video games, and it gelled really well and it worked, and it sucked me in for like 35 hours.
That was also my runner-up for.
It's so good.
Nice.
It is really
It's
good.
so good. Also, like how they managed to make a game that is like, all like by the time I finished it, I was like, I feel like I just read a novel.
Yeah.
Like so much of my time in that game is like just spent staring at the screen, like reading lines of dialogue and stuff. But like somehow they made it super engaging and super engrossing, and I just can't say enough good stuff about it. It's so good, so fucking good. All right, Brad.
My runner-up for game I played that was most out of my comfort zone, I'm gonna give it to Devotion. Now, I have played a lot of horror games.
Which one was Devotion?
Devotion was
the one that got banned in China.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes. This is a first-person horror game from the people who made Detention. If you ever played Detention, not only was it uncomfortable the way I obtained this game and playing it knowing that China might be watching, but just in general, like I don't play a lot of these first-person horror games. There's a lot of like indie developed first-person horror games. You know, I sometimes call them like PewDiePie fodder.
Yes.
You know, but I heard a lot of good stuff about this one early in the year. I heard that the story was really good, so I decided to give it a chance. You know, I don't really play a lot of these. They usually really scare me. That's why I had Malia kind of help steer the character when I was really, really scared. But I'm glad I kind of like stuck with it, because it ended up being one of the more interesting like story experiences I've played this year. And I usually don't even pay attention to the story in a lot of horror games. I'm just kind of there for the thrills.
Sure.
So this felt a little like different than the stuff I'm a little
Brad, you
used
don't
to.
happen to like at this very moment have that game on a thumb drive on your person, would you?
No, I don't. But you know what? You're a big boy, and I figured it out, and you can figure it out. But my winner is, for most out of my comfort zone, is a little bit of a cheat, I guess you could say, because I'm going to give it to the games I played on my phone this year, specifically like Apple Arcade. Nick's phone this year. Specifically Apple Arcade. I don't really ever play mobile games, but because Apple Arcade launched with like all these interesting like new indie games from like developers that I already knew and really liked, like I actually spent a fair amount of time playing games on a phone this year, which I never really do. And a special shout out to What the Golf and Grindstone. Those are the ones I spent like an insane amount of time playing. They're just really, really cool. And it didn't really shift my perspective on how I feel about phone games, but
are the phone games what's out of your comfort
yeah,
zone?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. Or Apple Arcade, I guess you could say,
Sure.
wins the award for me. I don't really play this type of... I mean, I just never play shit on my phone.
Yeah.
I always like think I'm going to. I hear
same
good
here.
about a game. I download a game, but I never fucking play them. But this year I actually played some. So, my winner is Apple Arcade. It got me to play some games, and I'm really glad I tried them out.
Yeah, cool. Nolan?
So runner up for most out of comfort zone is Devil May Cry 5. Never really been into the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah.
And
Or you don't seem like much of an action game guy or character action game guy in general.
it depends on the game. I'll play them.
I remember him last week. He talked about Bayonetta. Like he spoke highly of that.
I enjoyed Bayonetta, but I mean, I would say Bayonetta and Devil May Cry are fairly different in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
But played that one, and once again, that one was even tough for me.
Did you finish that one?
No.
Should go back and finish it.
We'll see.
You're telling him to finish? He doesn't need to finish.
Arguably, the best part of that game is the very end.
I'll watch a YouTube video.
That's true.
That final boss was pretty good.
And then my winner for most out of my comfort zone is Wargroove. Now, let me tell you why that's the case.
Because it's fucking hard.
Yes. I played Advance Wars back in the day on my Game Boy Advance, and I enjoyed it. Tough game.
Yeah.
And when Wargroove came out, I was like, dude, I'm going to fucking love this. And I picked it up and started playing it. And I don't know why. Like, it's just, I don't know if I maybe just don't like that style of game anymore, or if my personality's changed, my likes have changed. And I will put a caveat on this because I have not played the game since they've patched it.
Which is a big
And I
fucking
understand.
difference.
I understand that they made some huge changes to that game, and I really do need to pick it back up again.
It was punishing at first. Now,
And I think
min-map saves. That sort of
I
thing.
think that was one of the things that kind of turned me off on the game, was because it wasn't hard. It was super fucking hard. Like, it's frustrating.
It's relentless.
When you spend a very long time on a map, and then you get to a point where it's like, well, I'm fucked now. Like, I've spent over an hour and a half on this one map, and I'm just fucked. Like, there's literally nothing I can do now. I can't win. It's over.
Yeah.
I have to restart.
Though I will say some of the best moments are when you think you're down and out and you really
No. I agree. Like, I definitely don't ever. When I was playing it, I wasn't ever like, oh, I'm done. I always kind of fought to the bitter end, because there are definitely times when you'll see a move that you didn't recognize at first, or kind of whatever. But I mean, it's also one of those things where and once again, this is maybe a flaw that they fixed. I can't remember all the patch notes that came, but like, I would make a move on accident, or I would move something I didn't really mean to, or I would maybe click on the wrong spot. And it's like, one little mistake could still fuck you over.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that was I don't know if those games are in my wheelhouse anymore. Is kind of one of the reasons I put it in this category.
Cool.
Crispy?
So my runner-up was, as I already mentioned, Disco Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I haven't played that many CRPGs, and this was, on the surface, didn't quite look like something I would normally play. But I'm glad I gave it a shot, because it's probably one of the best games
of 2019
Ever.
I mean,
you could certainly make an argument for that.
Yeah.
That game is fantastic.
My most out of the comfort zone game, though, I'm giving to Resident Evil 2.
yes.
Okay.
I cannot wait to talk to you after you've had some alone time with Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Ew.
Sorry,
I gotta be honest with you. I don't think Crispy could handle it,
I can't.
but I want to see you get there.
I'm not going
but I want to see you try.
I'm just going to take the 5 hours that I've played and say that's Resident Evil 2.
We get at least kind of meet Mr. X.
I think you'll surprise yourself with your bravery.
You gotta know what it feels like.
I don't want
You gotta feel it.
It is so frightening, but it is also so genuinely like exciting,
Primal.
because games don't make you feel like that.
I am a rightly despised coward. Boy.
Chris Davis has a good point. You should stream that and play it with the community watching.
I know. Stop.
Just saying, the community will give you their strength.
Can I ask you something, Crispy?
Strum it.
You got a lot of buds, right?
Buds?
Buds. Bud. Not bud. Bud. Not
I
bud.
was like, oh no.
Buddies. Buds. Bud and buddies and bud buddies.
Sure.
Bud eyes.
Continue.
Do you have another like group or several groups of people that like pressure you as much as we do into like, you gotta try this, you gotta stick with this, have you seen this?
I'm that person in those groups because of you guys.
We rubbed off on you.
That's exciting.
I'm always like, hey, you should play this game, and Campbell's like, no, I want to play my 9,000th hour of Call of Duty. Leave me alone.
You're like, stupid idiot, all you play is multiplayer games. Disco Elysium is brilliant.
This is our legacy.
Why don't you go play your fucking Rocket League?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, is there anything else you want to say about Resident Evil 2?
Fucking dank bud, bro.
All right, well said. Well spoken. Oh no, I just dropped my phone. We both dropped our phone.
Quick honorable mentions. We do need to move along.
Honorable mentions for me. Out of comfort zone. I don't think I have.
I just want to say,
Baba is you, because that game doesn't
Yes.
exist in anybody's comfort zone.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
a fact.
yeah. I mean, that's true.
That game gets so fucking weird.
The reason I want to say Slay the Spire is, even though I played so much of that, is because I don't typically play roguelikes for extended periods of time. I play roguelikes that have like ends to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't usually play the type of roguelike that you finish but you play over and over again, or the kind that when you lose you're starting from square one again. So that was kind of different for me, and surprise, it worked. I got hooked.
Cool. Any other honorable mentions?
Nope.
All right. Our last category for this segment Right? Am I doing that right?
No.
Oh, we got 2 more.
Yep.
Best debut. This used to be called
debut.
new IP. So this
Best
is
debut.
my runner-up is going to be Control. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm a big fan of Remedy and Alan Wake. I think one thing I love about this studio is every project they do is a new IP. Essentially, they haven't really done a sequel since Max Payne 2, and I've liked every single one of their games since then, just because they're always
What about
new
American
characters. Oh, I guess I keep forgetting. I always forget about American Nightmare because I feel like that was more of
Everyone
it almost felt to me like
does.
DLC. Like it almost felt, I don't know. It's different. I don't think of those two in the same category. But Control is kind of it speaks to me in terms of like the kinds of fiction that like I get really intrigued by, like this really surreal science fiction horror type thing. Was really cool. The world itself, like Crispy mentioned earlier, the oldest house is a really cool concept. And you know, we had a conversation last week about, you know, whether the gameplay was the best, the combat focused gameplay was the best match for it. And I think some really good points were made. However, you know, playing it last night while I was recording footage, I was just like, "What? You know, say what you will, like the combat is really fun." I think there's a bit too much of it. So much time I spent in that game, I wanted to just explore, but I end up getting sucked into combat scenarios. But when you are in combat, it is like super fun and experimental.
Way off topic. Can you think of a game that has really great combat but not a lot of it?
Not off the top of my head.
That's a good question. I'll
Think about that for
it.
next week.
But my winner, best debut. What do you think my winner is? Days Gone.
Wait, yeah.
And also when I think
We've
about,
been new.
Here's the thing: when I think about this category every year, I tend to try and think about it in terms of like not only what is like maybe the best new IP, but like what is the best new IP that has the most potential for continuing as like a series or a sequel.
Yeah, it's a way to look at it.
And I think
sure.
Days Gone has so much potential, and that game goes some incredible places, especially towards the end of it, and it sets up a really fascinating concept, in my opinion at least. Like there's a moment in that game you finish it and you think the story's over, and that story that they wrap up is really nice, but like if you continue playing for like, I don't even know how it's triggered. Like I played for another like 8 hours like that before I triggered this like secret ending that shows up in the world, and when you see it, it like kind of teases what's to come in the sequel, and it's like really fucking cool. Cannot wait for the inevitable sequel to that game. Luckily, it sold really well, so that's definitely going to happen. So I'm very, very, very excited to see where they take that.
What's the sequel going to be called? Days Back?
That's pretty good.
No, it's going to be
whatever it is.
Their Days is.
Whatever.
Days Back is so much better than Dare Days is.
I don't know. Dare Days is kind of rolls on.
That would have to be Where Days Go before Their Days is.
Dare Days is.
Whatever they call it, like I feel like it just has to have a funny name that we can continue making this joke for, because jokes are good. They write themselves.
Come on,
Go on,
it's
Brett.
gonna be called Days Gone too.
No! Days Gone TOO.
Or Days Gone.
Wait.
Why not Days Gone Again?
Days Gone 2?
Question mark. All right, Brad, go.
Wait, what is this topic?
Best debut.
It's hard to. Okay. Best debut. Yeah, my runner-up is Superland, which we've talked a lot about.
Which is getting a sequel.
Is getting a sequel. Is already Kickstarter, already successful. The developers are already trying to figure out how to, figure out that one thing.
Combat
From the first game.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, it was like, I can't believe this one person made this game, because it really is
insane.
One of the richest Metroidvania / puzzle games I've ever played. I mean, I think this game's exceptional.
So joyful too. It's just like so easy to play and not
rich.
Like I could play that game and like just the stress just kind of like washes away.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see more from this developer, from this series. Maybe a new name. This is the perfect example of, remember when Rocket League wasn't called Rocket League, and then they made another one and named it Rocket League, and people were like way more okay with that? This needs to happen to Superland.
You don't think Superland's a good name?
I do not.
I think that's a good name.
I think there could be better names.
Oh, sure. There could always be better names.
Superland, I think of a land of a bunch of Toyota Supras. What is Superland?
Well,
I guess so.
They're called the people are called Supras or something.
Well, they look
Yeah.
like Gumby people.
Yeah.
Well, what if it was called Gumbyland? Sorry, just keep going.
But for me, best debut, best new IP, it's definitely got to be Slay the Spire. I think that these people created one of the best, maybe the best deck builder card game / anything ever, and it's wonderful. They figured that shit out. I can't wait to see. It's like when like the Hollow Knight guys or like the Darkest Dungeon guys, you just want to see what's next for them because or like FTL, like remember, like the FTL guys, like they figured something out. They struck gold. Like, man, whatever they're going to do next, whether it's a sequel or something completely new, they're into the breach. That's going to be brilliant too because
FTL Sunset Games. I can't ever remember their name.
Subset. Wait, who are we talking about?
FTL and Into the Breach.
Oh yeah, so I think it's Subset Games.
Subset, yeah.
But yeah, Slay the Spire, best new IP for me.
Cool. So my runner-up is Plague's Tale: Innocence.
That's a honorable mention for me for sure.
I thought it was kind of unique in the way they handled escort in that game that I didn't absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind seeing more, not necessarily maybe from that universe, but I'd like to see something else.
Yeah, for sure.
And my winner is actually going to go to Cadence of Hyrule. I'm really hoping that I don't want this to become... What's up, Nick?
That game is two existing IPs merged together.
Yes.
But the peanut butter cup.
The guy who likes Days Gone is gonna tell you about video games.
Wait, what is Dad's low? What are you talking about?
Yeah, come to my defense, Brad. Do it.
That's fucked up.
I think they changed.
He knows now because he's played Days Gone.
They changed it enough to where it is not just. It is not just Necrodancer plus Zelda. It is definitely more Zelda in the style of Necrodancer than the other way around.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping is not to an extent of Telltale, but I would like to see other games get this effect. And maybe it can be indie games. It doesn't have to be. But could you imagine a Shovel Knight Necrodancer kind of style?
Do fucking anything, man.
Like Cadence of Shovel Knight. You know what I'm saying? It does seem like more...
Cadence of Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
No, man. I want Metroid.
Yeah, why not?
I want Metroid.
Well, so that's the thing, Brad, is one of the reasons I think this could be possible is it does seem like more so lately, indie developers are kind of syncing up with each other and being hey, dude, there's no reason to you make games, we make games. People like your games. Those people probably also like our games. Let's collaborate a little bit. Let's kind of mix and match. Let's do things together. And it seems like that's becoming more. Yeah, Shantae. Shantae's a great example. And so I'm really hoping we see something else. But like I said, I don't want this to become a Telltale to where everything's just spread too thin and there's too many of them and most of them are bad. I would like it to
every 7.5 years.
This is the Mario and Rabbids of this
exactly.
year.
That's a good example. Yeah.
That is
anyway,
two existing IPs, but they made something new.
The way they merged really worked. All right, Crispy.
Best debut. Runner-up Supraland.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool. And my best game debut is Slay the Spire.
Oh.
Which I think is actually the same thing that was yours. Right?
Yeah.
Brad,
mine's, buddy.
Brad, real quick, what is your scam here?
My scam?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What's your con?
My con?
This whole Days Gone thing.
Oh, he's flipping the script. What's going on?
No, dude. Look.
Are you asking him
I
why
don't
he's
talk about
playing
Days Gone. Look.
What's the grift?
Stop it. First of all, this is only the first part of our award show. Next week, we're talking about best narrative, best characters, best games of the decade. There's a lot to talk about as far as Days Gone yet. So maybe just keep it to yourself, your weird paranoia or whatever the fuck you're talking about. Nick, next topic. Oh, wait, honorable mentions, anybody? I have Fail Seal, Wargroove, Outer Wilds, Disco Elysium. In fact, I would say this is the year. people talk about 2019 sucks. I think it's because there's not like big sequels and big AAA titles that really wow people this year. But you know what? This has been a great fucking year for new IP. You know, even stuff like Sekiro and Days Gone and
Void Bastards.
Dude,
even okay. Like, I know that Fallen Order has fallen from
new
grace,
IP,
right? Like, people were kind of met on Fallen Order, but like, I think it did certain things really well, and I think it was a great launching off point for a sequel that I would really like to see.
Hell yeah!
As much as I would agree with you, and as much as I have been vocal about my problems with that game, it is still a game that I absolutely want to see a sequel to, because I think with the proper care and the proper attention to like the complaints that people do have, that can turn into a pretty wonderful series with a nice lifespan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope it does.
Are
Also,
you saying
I'm glad you
you
mentioned
don't
Sekiro.
want Respawn to make it? Like you want Treyarch to make it, that they do it better?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, I want to mention people on Shadow Slam like Disco Elysium, Outer Wilds didn't come up in this category. Again, I like to think of these things as games that are most likely to have a lot of potential for a sequel or becoming a series. I don't think either one of those are probably going to turn into series or franchises. But yes, both incredible debuts.
Also, don't forget, next week we have awards such as Best Video Game Moments, Best Games of the Year, Best Games of the Decade. So you're gonna hear about more about Outer Wilds.
Also, we have an award next week called the Brad Award. I'm gonna leave that out there.
It's not just the Brad Award. It's
I know. Well, just leave it at that. Don't tell people what it is. It's just called the Brad Award.
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell us what it is?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna tell you guys what it is. Y'all don't. I know y'all aren't in the loop yet, but that's happening. All right, our last category for this segment is Best Game Nobody Played.
Yes.
My runner-up is going to go to Greedfall. This was the Eurojank RPG. I feel like it's kind of offensive to lead with that. The Eurojank RPG.
The Eurojank. Well, what genre is it, Nick?
Eurojank. No, but this is the. It's like the
monsters.
It's like colonial America RPG
with swords
and guns and magic.
And monsters.
And like cool like.
Hats. They had cool hats.
They do have cool hats. They have cool hats, and I really like the monster designs and stuff. The only reason it didn't come up more, I think, is because like there's a lot of repetition in terms of like the enemies that you fight and stuff, and maybe the combat wasn't as deep as it could have been. But like I think Greedfall has a lot of personality to it that I haven't seen anywhere else before. Has a really inspired like just visual design and like, or maybe artistic design, I guess. The color palette's really nice. I don't know. It's just I really dig that game a lot, and I think it got written off a lot just because it's from a studio that doesn't have a lot of stuff. They don't have a lot of past work that people are like super enthused about.
Sure.
So Greedfall was pretty damn good. Also, not as janky as you might imagine, even though it gets commonly lumped into the Eurojank.
As the name implies.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty good game. But my winner goes to Blair Witch. First of all, this was a Microsoft exclusive. It was announced at E3, but I didn't see a lot of promotion for it prior to release. I didn't really hear anybody else talk. I haven't heard anybody else talk about it on any other shows I listened to or whatever. It hasn't come up anywhere. And it's probably because Blair Witch as a brand doesn't have a lot of goodwill behind it. It hasn't had a single good thing happen to it since,
because it shouldn't be a brand.
I know, but it's not something that it's had sequels and none of them have been very good. So I didn't have a lot of high hopes going into this, but man, it's straight up one of the most memorable horror games of this year for sure, and if not the past couple of years. And it straight up has, in my opinion, one of the most frightening levels in a game ever. Like it brings me back to like the farmhouse in the original Condemned. Like some scary ass shit happens in that game, and I fucking loved it.
My runner-up for most what is this word? Best game nobody played. My runner-up, I'm going to give it to Hypnospace Outlaw. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty unique fucking game. We'll probably talk more about it next week. A unique game where you're uncovering a mystery by navigating and exploring a 90s internet/PC.
Yep.
And it's honestly kind of brilliant. It might be higher on a lot of these awards for me if I had finished it, but I didn't get a chance. But the portion of it that I played, which is about half or whatever, is it is affecting, and more people need to try this thing because it is wild. I think it might be lost on some younger people who didn't really experience the internet
who aren't familiar with GeoCities.
But were you looking at me?
You are the youngest one here.
I had a GeoCities page.
Okay.
It had Star Wars stuff on it.
How many animated GIFs did you have?
Welcome to Chris's Star Wars website.
Sounds about right.
Animated GIFs is not the right thing. Word art is more, or whatever.
It had a Starfield background.
Were they blinking? Were the stars blinking?
They might have been.
And but seriously, play that game. Even you, Nick.
I feel like
I don't know what that means. I don't know why I said that.
I mean, I am a web developer. I feel like maybe I should play it just to experience that.
I think
remind myself.
Carlos and Crispy definitely need. Oh wait, Carlos has played it. Yeah. I will say. Or wait, I'm sorry. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm saying. My winner is Failsail Arbiter's Mark, because this is a game I so deeply love, because it is a game that is so deeply faithful to my favorite game, literally my favorite game of all time. And I'm so critical of these indie developed strategy RPGs. I'm so critical of them. Ever since I played Final Fantasy Tactics, I literally have not found one that's better or as good as Final Fantasy Tactics. I've played some great ones. This is the most, I don't know. There's like Tactics Ogre, but that's also made by Matsuno. That doesn't really count. There's some others that do things differently. But as far as like trying to nail Final Fantasy Tactics, this is the one that got the closest, and this is the one that maybe understands what is truly magical about Tactics the best. And the thing about Failsail, Arbiter's Mark, is like I've begged people to try this game this year. I've begged people, and usually you guys or people in our community are very open-minded about trying that stuff, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll try Outer Wilds. You seem really excited about it, or Disco Elysium, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But this year, I guess, calling my eyes out, I couldn't get people to play this fucking game, and it's like, it's y'all's bad, it's everyone's bad, because this game's amazing, and fuck you, it's so good, and no one played it, and what the fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. What game are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. It looks like fucking Habba Hotel.
You know what?
I'm never going to play it because I'm a graphics whore. I'm a fucking graphics whore. All of you are graphics whores.
Actually, Brad, you know what's kind of funny is my PlayStation background is the Failsail.
What?
Is the one with all the characters on it.
Wait, there's a PlayStation background? Do you even know what game I'm talking about? Is that game even on PlayStation?
Yes, Brad.
I want him to tell me what that game is.
Failsail?
There's a background for it?
Yes, it's got like all the unit, like all the characters. Off to the right side, and it's like blue sky. I liked it because it was a bunch of like medieval fantasy characters, and I was like, that looks cool. Okay. And then I saw it was Failsail, and I was like, fuck
you! People, listen to me!
Hey, Crispy.
Listen to me.
Crispy. Got him.
All
right, Nolan.
What does that mean?
It's a pretty good background.
The game's
that,
but
yeah, that one.
Let me see. I can't see it.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I was just trying to find that. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Nolan.
All right, so
there are dozens of us.
My runner-up is Superland. I know several people here played it. But I don't think as many played it that should have.
Yeah. I see like an era and stuff. I go on there saying like, dude, y'all need to play Superland, and people are just. I
can't believe I almost passed this up.
Fucking
it's
idiots.
So good.
I almost skipped this year.
Good. I'm so glad you guys played it, because this would have been my winner if I didn't get at least y'all to try this thing out.
And then my winner, which is, I guess technically it makes it a loser. Best game nobody played is Dicey Dungeons. Terry Cavanaugh's latest game. Nowhere near enough people played this.
This is a cool game,
dude. It's fucking fantastic.
This seemed like one that would really catch on.
Crispy, you haven't played it, right?
This is a Nolan-esque
I think it is right up your alley as well, Crispy.
Right up there.
It's very accessible. I think anyone could fucking get.
Anybody
into
could
this
jump
game.
in and play
Yeah.
it, but I definitely think once you kind of like, I don't want to say beat the game, but once you get to that initial kind of playthrough, it unlocks a bunch of more challenges and new complications.
Dude, I got a board game. I mean, I got a cart I got a game.
Sure.
A game.
A game that's like super dicey dungeons, and it's really good. It's called One Deck Dungeon.
One Deck Dungeon. But dude,
play it by yourself.
I've talked about it on the show before. But it's a fantastic time. There's some good humor in there. There's some like really unique enemy types and how some of them, how their cards play off of yours, and how you can build. Your each character that you play as has different abilities. How they interact with the dice and how they interact with their abilities. It's really fucking good.
Yeah,
cool.
The way you have to defeat certain enemies is really fucking unique.
The micro that you do with your
yeah.
dice, especially with some of the other characters, is really cool.
Yep.
All right. Crispy?
My runner-up for
Real quick, sorry. We eliminated certain categories, and we didn't do like some of the ones we did last year, but like this was on my short list for best game feel.
Sure.
Yeah, there's something very like cool about the way
Dicey Dungeons
feels. Sorry, Crispy. What's your runner-up?
my runner-up for best game nobody played. Sorry, I lost my place. I put Disco Elysium.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that qualifies. I think it's getting a lot of buzz, like
After the fact.
As time goes on, it's getting a lot of buzz. But I don't think a lot of people in practice are playing it. Does that make sense? Like, it's getting a lot of press coverage because critics are like gushing about it. But
I see a few people being
It's the
like, "Oh my
parasite
god, you need to be playing."
It's the
it."
parasite of video games.
It's
this
gonna win
year.
a bunch of awards, and maybe people
Yeah,
will go
it
back
will.
to it.
It actually won the most awards at the Game Awards.
It did. That's a fact.
Oh, I don't know.
which that's kind of crazy when you think
I
about
mean, it deserves it.
it. Absolutely.
And my
That's why Brad has to suck 2 dicks.
my winner for best game that nobody played is a game that I didn't even play.
Oh, there we go. What a twist.
What a tweet! And it's Hypnospace Outlaw.
Nice.
Wait,
And
but I played it.
one thing I think that that Brad neglected to mention that I think is kind of a neat twist on the whole, like, oh, you're on the internet kind of thing, is that like in this world of Hypnospace Outlaw, the internet is like you browse the internet in your sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
Hence the
it's
title.
called Hypnospace. Yeah, you wear a special thing. So like when you're in the game, like moderating all this shit, like it's actually like a dream space.
Like you're doing it all in your dreams.
That should be a new category for next year. Best game I didn't play.
It actually used to be.
No, yeah, that was
A
biggest
category.
regret or whatever.
Yeah. We sort of turned into that over the years.
Yeah.
Real quick, I got some honorable mentions I want to mention because there's. I'll just rattle these off. Lonely Mountain Downhill. That's that downhill biking game.
Oh, I
Mo
forgot about
Astray. Druid Stone, which was that like fantasy XCOM made
I bought
by,
that and played it for like an hour.
Yeah. Even it wasn't an hour, or is this more of a Chris Davis?
It was probably more of a Chris
perception
Davis.
situation.
It was probably more of a Chris Davis perception
perception. Is
situation.
that?
Hey, I did it too, Chris Davis. I just said it was an hour.
Carlos
I
would
played
love
like 20
this,
minutes.
but Love Sam is actually worth checking out. Love Sam.
I'm recording footage for that for Game of the Year stuff, and I think I might just, while I'm recording it, just play it all the
You
way to the
should.
end.
It's cool. And of course, Devotion, which to be fair, a lot of people didn't play that because they weren't able to. Because of China. Because of China. Yeah. So, yeah, best game somebody
I
played.
have an honorable mention. One honorable mention. It is the other horror game that I played this year, The Beast Inside. Very much a indie, one of those smaller indie horror games. Really well made. Really pretty game to look at. It's also just very. Maybe the reason I didn't include it is because it is called the best game nobody played. And while I'm not saying it's a bad game, it is kind of. It has a little bit of an identity problem where it doesn't quite know what it wants. Like every chapter.
Yeah.
Is like they're introducing new mechanics like right up to the very end.
Wow.
So like there's so many like things swimming around in your head while you're playing that game. It's like what do I have to do here? But still a really cool game, some cool ideas, some good atmosphere and stuff. So I still recommend it.
Cool.
All right, and so that's going to bring us to the end of our second segment. We have 4 more categories tonight, and those categories are as follows. We'll do them after the break. Best looking game. So visuals. Biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and best character relationship is what we'll end the night on. We're going to take a quick break. During the break, Crispy, are you ready to set up your music?
Yes. YouTube link?
I thought you were gonna go.
I can go.
Go.
Do you have a couple of songs?
I need
No, okay. So,
2.
all right. I'll set it up, and then we'll set it up
Okay.
after we
Yeah,
cut.
I mean,
You can go next week.
My soundtrack of the year is Outer Wilds.
Oh.
That soundtrack is fucking brilliant. It is just like the most relaxing, but also just like evocative music I think that I've heard all year. It also, every time I hear it, it immediately evokes memories of the planets that I was exploring in Outer Wilds and like certain moments I had. I can like see the fucking supernova happening when I hear that one song that always plays when time is running out, when the 22 minutes is counting down. It's so good. And also just like you meet all these colorful characters like that are like living on the planets that are like they have different instruments, like the guy playing the banjo.
You find them with the audio thing, and you listen to them. You're like, oh, I need to go over there. Yeah,
it's so good. So the track I think I would like to highlight during the break is called 14.3 Billion Years from the Outer Wilds soundtrack. We'll cue that up here in a second. But if you haven't, first of all, if you haven't played the game, fucking play it. And if you don't remember what the soundtrack is, go listen to it because it's fucking incredible.
it is pretty good.
So anyways, we'll be back in just a moment after the break, and we'll do our last 4 categories for the night. If you're watching us live, don't go anywhere.
Best movie of the year. That's our next topic.
The Lighthouse.
I still need to watch that.
For me, it's Knives Out.
Knives Out's pretty good.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 4-Player Film Podcast. I'm just kidding. Let's get into it. We have 4 more categories tonight for part 1 of our award show. We're going to start with Best Looking Game. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can go technical or artistic, whatever speaks to you the most. My runner-up for Best Looking Game.
It's just Best Looking. Yeah.
My runner-up for this year is Control. I think that game has a really focused artistic style to it. Mm-hmm. Everything looks very very sterile. The color palette's very muted, but that means when there is color, it really pops.
Mm-hmm. Everything about it, the the brutal
lighting,
architecture of the house, and
Dude, then cool.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. It was going to be, I had a runner-up for best antagonist, villain, boss, or whatever, and I was going to say the refrigerator from Control.
That's a good one. Also, that refrigerator. Fuck that thing. But Control is just so fucking, it's beautiful, and its lighting is really striking and does some really cool stuff with, oh my god, that game just, it goes.
Oh, every time you do the light switch to go to the hotel.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Carlos just said just download a bunch of wallpapers of that game.
I mean,
it's good enough.
Yes.
I would disagree with that, but yes, you should still go to get.
Or did
wallpapers.
You say that?
No, I think
I've heard a lot of people say that. But my winner this year goes to. I actually want to give it to the Resident Evil 2 remake. That game is just, is so. I mean, one probably is it works for me really well because it is a recreation of something I was familiar with from my childhood, but it's also just incredibly detailed, and the lighting is so perfect, and there's so many moments just walking down a hallway really slowly in that game is so just.
Let me tell you something. That game is fucking gorgeous, and I got the edition that comes with the noir skin for Leon.
Ooh, the noir
that adds the monochrome filter, and that game looks incredible. When you step into one of the hallways, the danger
dark
hallways, it is so striking.
Dude, after I finished playing that game in its entirety, I actually kept playing it specifically. I played it for another hour and a half after that, specifically because I wanted to put that filter through its paces because it's fucking incredible.
So good.
So that's my winner.
Okay. My runner-up for best looking game of the year is Disco Elysium, which I think
that is also my runner-up.
Such a great visual look from just the in-game assets to the UI to the portrait art.
We talked about the portrait or the
or and the art for each of the skills.
Yeah.
Like it's such amazing artwork. It's such a great like color palette. I just love the look of this game.
I remember Crispy saying he would get any one of those framed, and I was like, every
yeah,
time I look
yeah.
at it,
Voices,
every time I look at that, I think to myself, like, he's right. Like, these are
every
fucking
one
gorgeous.
of them are fucking...
Such a wonderful looking game, and like the truly great part of this game has nothing to do with like the way it looks, but the way it looks is just as good as any of like the right. I mean, it's just an incredible package. This is a wonderful game to look at.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think of it because it is a like isometric CRPG and
you spend so much time staring at words, but like when you look past
and
it,
it's a game with little people,
Such a
they're
light
little people.
of-
how dare you?
But I think
It's beautiful.
it's less about that and more about like Brad was saying. I just don't think you think that type of game would be appealing for its looks.
Yeah.
Usually those
Artistically,
artistically. You would think those types of games are just kind of mediocre and it's all about the substance.
Yeah.
But this is way more than just the substance because
Yeah.
the artistic style of the game is also
it's so rare that a game like this has such a distinct art style, and man, it's exceptional. But my favorite for like best looking game goes to Ape Out. I think Ape Out, like the
forgot
look
about
of this
Ape Out.
game is like super underrated. I feel like visually this thing, like the way it
you
moves.
want to talk about artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Ape
my
Out
god.
is very-
Like between like the in-game like visuals of like the gameplay and just the way like the vision cones look and the way they kind of like tweak it, like when the lights go out, for example, and you see all like the muzzles flash and the way it's such a visually stunning game that it's like using this like filter or whatever that just makes it so awesome to look at, and then you combine it with all like the Saw Bass style like font work, of like the way it moves across the screen, like in the transitions between like from level to level, and of course, the way that syncs up with the music is such a brilliant looking game. We don't have a style category, but this wins it hands down, and just the look of this thing is incredible.
Real quick, just because you reminded me, and I didn't mention it when I was talking about Control. My favorite thing in Control is when you enter a new area and it does the and like the big block letters for like the name of the area pop up on screen, and you hear that like nice bass rumble. It's I don't know what it is, but like it's so it hits you.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Nick.
Sorry, you talked about the font and it made me think of that. Sorry.
Yeah. So Ape Out, just my favorite thing
I
from
didn't
this
even know
year
you played that.
to look. Yeah, I mean, this was the last thing. So like on the last day of the year, I finished Outer Wilds, and I was just feeling so good about that. I'm like, fuck it, and literally like counting down to
What's next
to the end of the year. Before the ball dropped or whatever, I was like, I can finish Ape Out. I'm gonna play Ape Out. And it was such a good game to play because the pace of it and the way the music works and stuff. It's like, it was a great game to play on the last
nice
moment of
nice
the
way
year.
to finish off the year.
Yeah, but I finished it and it was really cool.
Nolan, what's your runner up
I already said it. My runner-up
yeah.
was Disco Elysium.
and your winner?
My winner is actually going to be Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
That's an honorable mention for me.
On the Switch. I think they took a... I don't want to say bad looking because it was a Game Boy game.
It was a
then
product of its time.
Re-released on Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
So essentially the same game, but with a little bit of color added to it. The way they kind of made it look like a diorama, everything, the effect of looking kind of down into like a 3D space as the Link moves around and the lighting engine they used. I think that game looks
a lot of personality.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's like purely on looks, not about like artistic or whatever. I think it's very like like cutesy kind of, but I think it works really well.
It reminded me a little bit of Animal Crossing,
Yeah, I can see it.
which is also my favorite thing about Animal Crossing is the way it looks. So
But yeah,
I dig it.
I really liked the art style.
That reminds me, I wanted to play a short hike. Maybe I'll squeeze it in before next week.
Crispy.
But I'm sorry, Crispy. I will also say I love how they updated the cutscenes in that game. The original Link to the Past didn't have too many.
Yeah.
They were just kind of like almost like still images.
Yeah.
But how they actually kind of turned them into like animated,
Yeah.
like anime style like cutscenes was pretty cool.
For sure.
Crispy.
My runner-up for best looking game is Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
We discussed it. It's amazing.
Mhm.
My best looking game is Disco Elysium.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything everything. I mean, it's just like
that game is just such a cohesive product. Like
and
they thought
like
about
I feel like the design also matches like the thematics of the world as well, because like the world looks like a dream. You know?
Yeah.
It
Like,
does. It's very surreal, and like it also evokes this like I don't even know how to describe it, but it's beautiful, but it also you kind of feel the depression of like the world itself.
It's very melancholy.
There we go.
Man,
yeah, like it does a really good
one of the
job
first things you do in the game is look in a mirror, and like when I saw the portrait of my character,
you're like,
I was like, this game definitely has some ideas here, and this is cool.
Did you shave your beard ever?
No,
I did. And it looked really weird
when you try to like
when you go into
change your expression and you can't.
I will say, you're the only one here who's finished this game.
Oh right, sorry.
But that's why I moved some categories around to next week.
Oh, there we go. All right, so our next category is going to be oh shit, where'd it go?
Biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise. Thank you. Biggest
Or,
surprise.
we didn't do any honorable mentions, but that's okay. I really like the look of Outer Wilds. I think
Oh yeah.
like
sorry.
anytime I see like any angle in that game, I'm just like I'm kind of stunned by what I'm seeing, and
I'll give it.
I still think the animation in Indivisible also looks incredible.
I think honorable mention as well. I think Days Gone is an incredible looking game, especially when you start to consider like when you get to situations like when you're attacking like a horde or something, and you're just seeing all these zombies on screen at once. And it doesn't really slow down or stutter or anything. It handles it pretty fucking well, and like just the effects and like honestly the character animations in that game are incredible. Like all of the characters, like the main characters that you interact with throughout the story, are really well done and really well voice acted as well. All right, next category, biggest surprise. Pretty self-explanatory. My runner-up is Outer Wilds. It's come up plenty of times tonight. It's a game that I think at first I was really put off by. For Crispy had mentioned his experience when he first tried to fly the ship, and I had a very similar experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, my first thought was, I don't know if I can play this game.
Yeah.
This controls like dog shit. And I don't remember how long it took me or what the turning point of that was, but like as soon as I started to realize like the scope and how the ship actually controls and how I should be thinking about it, everything kind of fell into place, and I ended up getting super addicted to that game, and it's just so obtuse too. Like it's so like they don't tell you expressly what to do next to progress the story. It's all a finding the clues and kind of piecing them together yourself, and they don't hold your hand. It makes you feel smart as a player. They trust the player to figure stuff out, and man,
the reward is so
the
great.
reward is so good. But my winner for biggest surprise, I think I mentioned earlier, Blair Witch. I expected this to be kind of doo-doo, but it ended up being a very competent horror game that does some really creative, interesting things to create a sense of fright. And I mentioned the disorientation, the feeling of being lost in the woods. Like honestly, I've walked through. There's been a few times in my life where I've like walked through the woods and gone pretty deep, like by myself, and thought to myself, what if I couldn't find my way back? Like, what the fuck would I do? And especially, what would I do if night fell and like I was just out here and I had no idea which way was up? And like that's what this game tries to figure of speech. Figure of speech.
I got you.
Like that's what this game tries to capture, and I think it does a pretty good job of it, and does it in some pretty creative ways. And then again, like I said, when you get to the end, the finale of that game is horrifying, and like it made me think of that moment in the first movie at the very end of that. If that tells you anything.
Never seen Blair Witch.
You've never seen Blair Witch?
Nope.
But you know the scene where they find the guy in the basement in the corner?
Nope.
It's a famous scene.
Okay, well don't tell him, because you should watch Blair Witch Project.
You should watch the Blair Witch Project.
Bernadette doesn't like scary movies.
But it's
not that scary.
You tell her that.
I will fight you.
Don't say
the shit out
that.
of
Don't
me.
say that. I mean,
it
it could definitely be scary, but it's not the kind of scary you'd
I think it's
expect
dread.
from
It builds dread until the very end, and then it's scary.
Oh yeah, I love that movie. I'm just saying.
Anyways,
it can definitely get under your skin.
For what?
all I'm trying to say is the game that came out this year is better than it has any right to be, considering it shares a name with all these other sequels that came out that were just cheap cash-ins, and I think this game kind of blew my expectations out of the water.
Brad?
My runner-up for biggest surprise for me is actually Fire Emblem Three Houses. And the reason I'd say this is because I went into this game very like, oh, it's a Fire Emblem game, I'll play it. Mm-hmm. But the reason it's a Fire Emblem game, I'll play it, is because the last Fire Emblem game I played like every fucking Fire Emblem game ever since they started coming out in the West, and I really liked the Fire Emblem series. But by the time Awakening came out, and I did finish Awakening, I was kind of like down on it because the new direction they were going with the focus on like, you know, fucking everybody's fucking and having kids, and your kids come from the future, Marty. You know, and then Fates came out, and I didn't really like Fates, and I've been kind of down on the series, so I went in with low expectations, and I was surprised to find like one of the most cohesive like visions of where they were trying to go with Awakening succeed. Like, I seriously believe this is one of the best Fire Emblem games ever, and I didn't expect that from a modern Fire Emblem game. Like, this is the complete package of what I think old school fans of Fire Emblem want and new school fans. You know, like it finally works, and all it took is, you know, them to do Harry Potter, but whatever, it worked. It's awesome. And that really surprised me. I didn't expect to be as into it as I am.
I still want to give that game another chance because I do feel like
I think all of y'all should.
If I'm in the right mood, I feel like I'll really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't think I was in the right mood when I tried it the first time.
Yeah. But my winner is, of course, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Notoriously, I went into this game super down. I thought it was going to be a fucking train wreck.
That's my runner-up.
Because everything we saw leading up to it, like the Kickstarter was kind of a mess. You know, like
the demo,
the multiple demos I've played over the years were like super rough, super sloppy, super like unbalanced.
It looked like poop.
It looked like crap. And you know what? When the game finally came out, it still had a lot of those issues, but it had so much more. The stuff that I had no idea they were going to nail. I thought this was going to be like kind of a like sad imitation of the kind of game that EGA used to make with like a slightly bigger budget and more of a team, because, you know, this game went through like multiple developers had their hands on this thing. I never thought it would come out as well as it did. It was a huge surprise for me, and it ended up being one of my very favorite games of the year. And I seriously didn't. I thought this was going to be the next Mighty Number 9. I truly did, and it is so not that. It surprised me in like so many ways, because in a lot of ways I think he even surpassed some of his Castlevania games that he's worked on since Symphony of the Night. Like, I mean, this thing really did wow me.
Yeah, cool.
And I truly love it.
I'm glad it worked out. Nolan, what's your winner?
My winner is Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh, yeah. There it is again.
This is the game that I saw the first one, and I kind of seemed like I might like it, but then the more I heard about it, the more I was like, maybe I wouldn't like this kind of game. It's kind of like, I don't want to say like a rip on Minecraft, but I mean, kind of. It's like, oh, you're building, and it seems like it could be boring.
Making bathrooms.
Yeah, kind of. But as soon as I started playing it, like, holy shit, I'm surprised at how quickly I got sucked into that game.
Yeah.
And didn't want to put it down.
Cool. Crispy?
My runner-up for biggest surprise is actually
Dragon Quest Builders?
Dragon Quest Builders 2. That game.
Y'all all got
balls
deep in that game.
That game came out and just punched me in the face with delight and joy. But my biggest surprise is, hands down, Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
I mean, that game, like, I wish I could describe my state of mind the first time I sat down and played it. Like, after 4 hours of playing that game, it was just like,
what is this?
I was just like adrift. I was like I don't know, like few movies, books, games, anything have like put me in that headspace of just like.
I would totally agree.
Like,
it's such a unique feel while you're playing that game. Just like the mood it put me in every time I played it.
I know.
So different.
It's crazy.
Still highly recommend it to people out there. If you haven't tried Disco Elysium, it's definitely going to continue to come up.
Pretty good.
All right, honorable mentions for that category.
Slay the Spire.
Slay the Spire.
Sure.
What else? What I had something else on here. What was it?
Sekiro.
I was surprised by how much Failsail really was that thing I never thought it could be. Like such a faithful, like it took things from Final Fantasy Tactics and made them better, balanced them better. It's crazy.
I think I'm gonna go with Death Stranding just because I didn't know what that game was gonna be, and
No one did.
what it ended up being was quite unexpected and also kind of beautiful in its own way. And another game this year, kind of like Disco Elysium, like we just mentioned, that made me feel a very particular way that I feel like is pretty unique. And I also didn't expect to maybe end up liking it as much as I did. Like, I didn't think the action delivering packages was going to be particularly addicting, but holy shit, it was incredibly addicting. And it's probably single-handedly to blame for why I'm like really into playing survival games right now. So yeah. All right, our next category is in the same vein as our last one, biggest disappointment though.
Biggest disappointment.
And here we go. This is the category
I already
you
know
don't
what
want
Nick's gonna say.
Well, my runner-up, I think this is probably what you're thinking of. My runner-up is Devil May Cry 5. Is that what you were thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucker.
I know.
That's okay. I'm kind of there with you.
And here's the thing. Like, the reasons I'm disappointed in Devil May Cry 5 are not the gameplay. I think the gameplay is great, probably better than it's ever been before.
It's no Bayonetta.
For me, I mean, a lot of Devil May Cry and my love for Devil May Cry has to do with the characters, the supporting cast, and the world. And I feel like this game was completely kind of void of personality.
Whoa!
I'm talking about the world. The world was void of I don't remember like almost anything, and I hated that the tree that you or whatever the tree that you go up at the end or whatever. I thought was just awful. Everything was just dull.
What about V? You were so ready to defend V to the death when you first met him.
I liked his style of combat because it was so different than anything else that came before it in the series.
No one chose V when they had the chance except you, Nick.
I mean, he was like the most original thing about that game, in my opinion. Also, another Devil May Cry game where they completely just sideline the fucking female characters for no reason. No reason.
Yeah.
The best part of that game was the final boss. And it was only because it was kind of like a throwback to, it made me think of Devil May Cry 3, which I think is still hands down easily the best game in that series.
Oh my god, did you hear?
What?
Did you hear about 3 on the Switch?
Yeah,
special
style
edition?
switching? Yeah,
yeah. They're making it definitively, no, it's the best. Stop it. We have style switching now. No, we don't want to hear any arguments about 4 or 5. It's 3.
I know,
and that comes from Capcom.
It's kind of a shame that like we did the Devil May Cry 3 for the Revival Club months ago because now I kind of want to play it again with the style switching. But I don't know. It's just Devil May Cry 5 plays like a dream. It's just everything around it just turned me off completely.
Motorcycle axes.
Also, I said this before when we were talking about it earlier in the year. I think the action choreography and the cutscenes was weak in this game.
It's 3
compared to 3 and even 4. I don't.
But can we say that the previs acting of the cutscenes is like maybe the coolest shit of the year?
The making
and
of
the fact that you
cool.
could play through the game with those on.
Yeah, no, that you're right. That shit was cool. But like in practice, when you actually see the cutscene unfold, I thought a lot of them were pretty lame. To be totally honest, by comparison, that's because.
Dang. What about?
This is my runner-up.
What about Devil Trigger? On. Pull my Devil Trigger.
You know what? Fuck that. That's my
best
winner.
Song of the year.
Fuck it. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, that's my winner. My runner-up, I'm gonna say Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah,
I think Devil May Cry 5. I'm more disappointed. Jedi Fallen Order, like I said earlier, has a lot of potential. I think it deserves a sequel because I think it can grow into something that is maybe a lot.
Dang.
It can grow into its potential. I did not like the supporting cast much. I think the best character in that game, the best supporting character in that game is introduced in the last 2 hours of it.
Do you just hate Mad TV?
No. I don't know. I just didn't like the pilot character very much. I mean, he had a moment or two that I thought was not. Yeah. Another thing is, I can't even remember their names, and I feel like that's telling in and of itself.
Here's the question:
Grease, and what was her name? Seer? Is that her name?
Seer. Yes.
I didn't like Seer very much.
Is the story?
Although she has a pretty badass like action moment later in the game.
As a story,
You didn't like her face.
as a story though, Nick, is it better than A New Hope?
Fuck off.
My runner-up.
No.
My runner-up for most disappointing is...
You know what? Maybe it is.
Oh my god.
Brad's runner-up.
How dare you?
My runner-up is SteamWorld Quest.
Oh.
This is a game that I... Look. I really like the SteamWorld games. At this point, I was like... With Image and Form, I was like, they can do no wrong, right? SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld... SteamWorld Heist, which is like probably their best game.
SteamWorld Dig 2.
SteamWorld Dig 2. I was like, man, these guys can do no wrong. They're coming up with these fresh ideas, some freshish ideas, and like they're just knocking it out of the park, man. And when I heard that SteamWorld Quest was basically their take on like an RPG meets Slay the Spire, I was like, this is gonna be their best one yet. And you know what? Like I really kind of fell off of it. It was kind of boring. I didn't like the combat system as much as I was expecting. You know, this is by no means a bad game. Some people really like it, but I found it super disappointing. We're living in a post-Slay the Spire world. Come on.
Facts.
But my biggest disappointment is not even a game that I ever expected to be good, but I expected it to be kind of weird and awkward and a little bit of a Jimmy, maybe even. Left Alive. I gameplayed this game. Left Alive is a game that was
oh shit, that's the one with the cover by the Metal Gear artist. Yeah, okay.
I thought I'd be able to push through this.
You thought you found like 2019 Jimmy?
Well, you know, I thought I'd push through it and find some things to love. I never thought that the game was going to be good. But I didn't expect me to not even be able to get through like the first half hour of the game because to me, it was that bad. It was that bad. But the reason it's like my winner as my biggest disappointment, doubly so, is because it is a Front Mission universe game. And Front Mission, famously strategy RPG series, it's Final Fantasy Tactics with mechs. It's like Armored Core meets Final Fantasy Tactics. I love that series, and they haven't had a proper entry in that series since the PS2. But since then, they had that stupid, shitty fucking Front Mission Evolved made by Double Helix or whatever they were called back then, which was fucking terrible. And then years and years later, they decided to make this fucking thing. Like, just make a real fucking Front Mission game. But it was terrible, and it obviously didn't sell, and it bombed with critics, and it's just a complete fucking train wreck. It probably tells Square Enix that, like, hey, no one likes Front Mission, so fuck it. Like, this is a decade later after that fucking Front Mission Evolved, and like just another failure.
It's dead, it's over.
Like, what are you doing, Square Enix? What the fuck? Why does this thing even exist? Make Front Mission 6, you assholes. Fuck.
Well put.
Fair enough.
All right, Nolan.
All right, so my runner-up for biggest disappointment is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, yeah, this was an honorable mention for me.
I was so excited for this game, not because I don't love the Kingdom Hearts extended universe, because I've never played any of them, but the proper games have a place in my childhood. Those were games that I kind of played.
They have a charm to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
And you know, we had been waiting for this one for so long. Yeah. We had been waiting for this one for so long, and it's finally coming out, and it looks beautiful, blah, 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 and it's kind of like a big wet fart. The game was kind of boring. The story, like, oh, we're going to, finish the story, and everything's going to come together, and, like, it was just, like, boring, and it was just, like...
I'm still going to finish this game.
There was multiple times where they're like, oh, with the pirates, and Jack's here, and we gotta do this, and then, like, the next scene, like... And I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Like, there was
no transition.
The transition. Like, I feel like I missed like 20 minutes like of game.
Yeah, very awkward.
Yeah, no Final Fantasy characters.
No,
like,
that's hugely disappointing.
Yeah, it was
that's
like, what?
The biggest fucking...
What the fuck?
And the reason it's honorable mention for me is because I actually spent like many hours. I was working weekends at the time, watching and catching up on all these lore videos.
Dude, me too.
And I started to get excited about it. I wrote a lot of that off, but consuming all these lore videos, I started to get excited.
Me too.
And then I was like, I played through the entire game. It was my third most played PS4 game, apparently.
No.
I have my list. And I was like, well, this is just not good. This is just a bad video game.
So yeah, that's one of my kind of, I don't want to say like
I felt bad because all year long Nick was like playing the old games in preparation for this, and I'm like, just stop, don't.
The old games, the old games on the PlayStation thing were my third most played game of the year.
Dude, yeah, the Kingdom Hearts is number 2 for me.
Oh yeah,
it's Death Stranding and then Kingdom Hearts on my PlayStation like recap.
Oh man,
and it's just like
I'm still gonna finish it, by the way.
And Nick, I'm gonna say,
I played it for like 5 hours,
that's fine.
And I was like,
It's a lot more of that if you're going to finish
pretty.
it.
I think the visual will carry it.
It's very mashy.
It is. It
even
is very
on hard.
Pretty. It is. Yes, it is. Press X to win. Every once in a while, you'll press square,
triangle,
or triangle. Yeah,
you'll turn into a carousel.
Yeah. Oh God, Jesus Christ! Those fucking transitions into like the rides and shit.
And then I get to watch Frozen somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah,
sort of.
Nick,
there's some cool ideas like the Keyblade transformation.
If you're going to play it, just don't be like me and do a bunch of like just beeline it.
Yeah,
if you're gonna play it, Nick, just beeline it.
I can do that.
Just
I
get
can
it
handle
over
the Pirates World. Maybe in the Pirates World, kind of
don't collect all the fucking white crabs. Don't do that shit.
Yeah,
it's not fucking worth it.
Kind of.
Brad, it's not.
It's definitely not worth it.
It is
but it was
not
kind of
worth
fun.
it. It is fun. Sure, but it's not worth it, Nick.
All right.
I promise
I'll
you.
take your word for it.
That's my runner-up. My winner is My Friend Pedro.
Yeah.
That was a game I was really fucking looking forward to. The
looked
trailers like really sell that game. I fucking hated every minute I played of it.
Which was 15.
No, it was probably like maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe a little more. Not so much that Steam didn't let me get a refund. One of the few games I've gotten a refund on Steam just because I did not enjoy that game whatsoever.
All right. Fair enough. All right, Crispy?
My runner-up is The Outer Worlds.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of fell off that too. I mean, not that I wasn't really enjoying it per se, but like every time when I think about going back to play it, I'm just like, well, I could probably spend my time playing.
It was just kind of a big who cares.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, it was kind of disappointing. Actually, I'm sorry, that's my winner.
Some good characters though.
Oh. That's my winner for biggest disappointment. That was the biggest disappointment, is that I played that game and felt absolutely nothing. My runner-up was Control. Because there is still something there. Like, there is something I like about Control. And I'm mad about Control, which kind of puts it higher in my estimations than something like The Outer Worlds, which just...
I would say if you want to hear like a more elaborate explanation of those complaints, the beginning of last week's podcast, we talked pretty thoroughly about. We hashed out some thoughts on Control and why it for Crispy it was disappointing. I don't know. That game, like I mentioned this last week, but that game kind of came around for me.
You know what it is, though? Do you remember Control started as like a much smaller scope game, I think, and as it got a lot of hype. This is a 505 published game.
Yes. Yeah, but it's still
but
still a Remedy game.
No, but it started as a smaller scope. Like the company line, like listen to what they were saying about the game when they first announced Control. They were talking about it like it was not even going to be like a $60 game. Like it was a smaller scoped game. And I think as hype built and maybe they had lofty like expectations or whatever, I think they padded out that game with combat, like more and more and more combat. And if it stayed like a smaller scope game, and really,
no, I agree.
It could have been something like the thing Crispy wanted.
That game could have been like game of the year if it didn't have as much combat. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like,
which one?
Control.
Oh,
it absolutely could have blown past a bunch of stuff on my list and made it to the top of my game of the year list if it wasn't. And here's the funny thing is, like, I think the Control is the combat in that game is sublime. Like I think it's great, but when you want to kind of take in everything around you and explore, and it is kind of a Metroidvania, so you get to kind of like poke around and see where things lead and see what kind of cool lore stuff opens up. You want to listen to an audio log, but you're being fucking blasted by a bunch of creatures. Whatever. It's
hey, developers, learn from maybe the two best games of the year. Learn from Outer Wilds and Disco Elysium and realize you don't need combat at all to have a super rich experience.
And I'm gonna stand by what I said. Like, I do agree that there's too much combat, but like the combat and control is so good. Like, if you took it out completely, I don't know if I'd still feel the same way about it.
Well, I don't.
Brad's not saying take it out completely.
I'm not
He's
saying
just
it out
saying
completely.
it doesn't have to be.
You don't need to
agree,
pad your game with.
A game doesn't need combat, but like I don't think that's necessarily the answer to any of the problems that control might have.
I think Remedy needs a wake up call.
Honorable mentions. Rage 2.
Oh yeah,
dude, I got kind of hyped on that game, and then I regret paying any pennies at all for it. Like I just fell off so fucking fast.
From Borderlands 3, I bought that game.
Oh man, I didn't know you bought it.
I bought it.
For me, Trials Rising. I really thought they were kind of turning things around, heading in the right direction, but like their last few games, everything outside of actually being on a track with a bike was fucking awful, and it really dragged down the experience for me. It's a real bummer. I'm
going to go with The Surge 2. That game, for some reason, spoke to me. It looked really cool. I was really into the concept. I was ready to play a Souls-like that didn't look or feel like anything else in that kind of subgenre. And I played it for like 2 hours, and I was like, this is just kind of ugly and broken and not particularly fun. So I bounced off that pretty hard, and that's one that I was almost certain when I played it, it was going to end up being kind of one of my personal jimmies, one of those games that like nobody else played, but I get it on my list because I want to champion that game. And it totally was not that.
We haven't uttered this name, but I was really hoping, even though there was a lot of like shit talking even before it came out, I was really hoping Crackdown 3 would come together and be something that I just found
same here.
That
really
game came
fun.
out?
Yeah.
It did come out.
Yes.
In February.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be like, whatever. Maybe it's ugly. Maybe a lot of the stuff is old school or the story's crap or the characters are dumb. But like, I thought it'd at least be fun to play. And I tried. And I just had no fun with that game. And it kind of bummed me out.
All right.
Katana Zero.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of...
It was a nice game.
Few
for
levels
me
were
I played it
good.
on a trip,
yeah,
which was a nice game. Have a game on my Switch to play on a vacation or whatever. But if I hadn't been doing that, I probably wouldn't have finished it.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
I didn't play that one yet.
I thought that was gonna be cool, and everything I heard was like, "This is not cool."
It was the demo we played at E3 seemed cool, but I guess it didn't come together. Our last category of the night and of this episode is going to be best character relationship.
I wanted to save this one for next week because this is kind of goes more with the story stuff, but alas, it's
think
here.
Think of it as a teaser for next week's show, where it's gonna be more narrative and like story and character focused and stuff. Best character relationship.
This is tough for me because I had a lot of contenders.
This was a good year for that kind of stuff.
This is a lot of contenders, but go ahead, Nick.
My runner-up for best character relationship is Amicia de Rune.
Okay.
And her brother Hugo from A Plague Tale.
Kind of hated Hugo, but
yeah, I mean,
but maybe that's part of it.
But maybe.
But part of what he was the annoying younger brother, and she was and she's the older sister, and she has this sense of
I understand what was going on. It was one of those things where 2 weeks before this game started, it was just an annoying little brother and his big sister.
Yeah.
But then once this game starts, she's no longer his big sister. She is his motherly figure. She is having to take care of
his
him.
caretaker.
Yeah, and I understand where it was going. I understand he was annoying on purpose. But yeah.
But what I love about the characters is first of all, I love Amicia de Rune as a character.
Yeah,
I think she was really well acted, really well written, and her sense of responsibility for her brother is really comes through in the game. There's a lot of really great moments that are all kind of their success kind of hinges upon being convincing in portraying that relationship, and I think they nail it.
They sell it, yeah.
But my winner, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. Let me just tell you. Let me just do my honorable mentions.
Tell me about Boozer.
Don't
do your honorable mentions yet. That's not fair.
Well, here's the it's like my winner. My winner is Deacon St. John.
Oh,
and Sarah.
Is it
from Days Gone.
I have no idea who Sarah is.
Is Sarah his like biomedical science?
It's his wife.
It's his wife.
It's his wife in the game. And
how does that make any sense?
What?
He's like some dude in a motorcycle gang, and his
that
wife
is why this game
That's
is
kind
so
of the
good.
story of the game, actually.
The whole like theme of the game is how like chance interactions with other people can dramatically shift your like path in life. Like that's kind of like it has zombies in it, but that's kind of like the story, and that's why I love it. Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
Why are you looking, bitch? You don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Crispy. Jesus.
You're right. I'm gonna play this game before next week.
No one's saying you have to fucking play it.
Please don't.
No, I want to.
No,
I want to buy admission into this conversation.
But here's the problem.
fascinating.
Here's the problem, and this is why I don't think any of it. This is why I'm surprised, Brad, because like to get to the point where you understand why I love these characters so much, like it wasn't until like I saw like the full picture that I was like, I love these characters and I want to see more of them, and that I played that game for 60 hours, and I think it was just super genuine, really well acted, really well written. And I was so invested in like the kind of the driving force of the main character in this game towards the end, which is well, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, don't get into spoilers.
His relationship with his wife is very, very important, and I was super, super invested in them the entire time, especially towards the end.
Maybe next week is more like of a spoiler-filled thing. That's kind of why I wanted to wait for next week. You could have. And
the reason I was going to mention my honorable mentions now and get them out of the way is because they were all from Days Gone. It's Deacon and Boozer, Deacon and Ricky, basically Deacon and any of the supporting cast.
What about Iron Mike?
Iron Mike is great. Deacon and Iron Mike is great. I can't believe you know this.
Yeah, who the fuck's Iron Mike? I don't know any of these.
Oh my god, the characters in this game are so good. I hate you.
Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate you all.
That's funny. I knew you had to get Boozer in there.
Yeah, Boozer's great.
Okay. My runner-up. Oh, this is tough. I had some good honorable mentions. I mean, to me, like video games, if I care about a story, it's because I care about a character, the characters in that story. And if I care about that, it's because there's some like really good character relationships.
Sure.
So this is tough. I wanted to mention this one. This one's not like as serious, but it's kind of fun and I really liked it. And that kind of personality is what kept me playing Dragon Quest Builders 2. There's a lot of like really fun characters, but I think my favorite relationship in that game is between Malroth and Lulu. Lulu's the first like woman you meet when you show up on the main island, and like the first thing Malroth says is like, let's just kill her.
Hold on. This is my winner. But I had the Builder, Malroth, and Lulu. The three of them.
That trio. Sure,
yes, the trio of them.
She is like super like lazy. Yeah. She doesn't go with you to the other island. She's like, oh, I'll just stay here. I'll take care of things.
She's like, I'll take everything while you're gone. And while you're gone, she does nothing.
One of the first things... and she's constantly getting into it with Malroth, who is, by the way, secretly the Dark Lord. Yeah. He doesn't know it, but like the way he talks and like the way things that come out of his mouth, they're like, that's really fucked up. And he's always getting into it with Lulu. Like when they first show up, she's like, yeah, this is Lulutopia. This island is Lulutopia.
We're naming this Lulutopia.
And Malroth wants to name it Evisceration Empire.
That sounds like a metal album title.
And like they're just constantly bickering. It's such a fun like that trio, that relationship is like, that's the kind of like personality and delight that like echoes throughout the entire 1,000-hour fucking game. So because it's so long.
Did you get through the third island, the one with the castle? Because the relationship between the Builder and Malroth on that island gets fucking intense, and that's one of the reasons this is my winner.
It gets intense, but I heard things don't actually change with Lulu because she's Lulu.
Correct. Everything with Lulu stays the same throughout the entire game. But
I wanted to finish this game.
Finish it, dude.
It's Switch. Why didn't I get no PS4?
I know. I'm in the same boat as you. I thought it was going to be great.
I tried to make a deal with my wife because she likes playing it, to like play through the entire 50 hours that we played
again
on PS4, and then I jumped back in when she got there because that's how she plays video games.
Sure. But the way the relationship between the Builder and Malroth changes on that third island. Like some things kind of come to light, and how they interact with each other and the choices you make, and in like kind of disagreements. Dude, I was like fucking like getting upset, and I was like, no, this can't happen. Dude, but it the way it comes around towards the end of the
Dragon
game.
Quest Builder is
it's a really good game, and I think it's one that
giving
like
you
too,
feelings.
Nick.
Yeah, I'm sure I would.
But I mean, that's kind of how all Dragon Quest games are, right? They all seem light and breezy until things get like super serious and intense, and you're like, damn, I didn't expect this game to make me feel things.
Yeah.
So what's your winner, Brad?
My winner is like, I mean, it couldn't be anything but this. It's the relationship that I had as the main character of Disco Elysium and Ken Kutsuragi.
Oh yeah,
that's who's like your partner from another precinct, right? Like that relationship, I think, is like core to that game. Like that brings humanity to like the fuck up that is the main character. That is you. That is me. Not only he. So like when you're making decisions in that game, he's often there with you, right?
Yeah.
Until after a certain time when he goes away and you could do the really seedier stuff. But like even then, like he's constantly like eyeing you, keeping you in check, keeping you from doing some like truly fucked up stuff, you know, like ripping these apart a dead body to get his like expensive boots off because you kind of want his expensive
murdering
boots.
Kuno.
Yeah, a lot of things, right? And like that, like, and it's not just like, hey, I did good things because, you know, he was watching. I didn't want him judging me. I didn't want him reporting me. Like, at a certain point, you know, he really grows as a character, and you just sort of want to like impress him. I just wanted to make him happy.
Yeah,
you know. Does that make any sense?
No, I felt the same way.
Like, it's like, man, like I want to prove to him that I'm not a complete fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he's almost like a fatherly figure, right? Yeah. The thing is, I haven't finished this game, and I don't know where it goes, and I'm gonna try to finish it before next week. But like, even the time I've spent with this game, which is probably about 20 hours or whatever, like that relationship is like, to me, everything in this game. It is my driving force, and man, it's so good. People got to play Disco Elysium if they haven't.
That game goes places too.
Yeah.
All right.
And that relationship is also like really funny. It's touching. It's funny. It's like kind of heartbreaking, but yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. Nolan, what's your runner-up?
So my runner-up is the relationship between Parvati, Holcomb, in Outer Worlds.
I would say arguably that's the best part of that game.
And Jun Lee, the engineer from what was that station called?
I'm not super.
I can't remember.
I don't
remember
anyway, the lore very well.
It's the whole. It's one of those things where you think in this game you're gonna have like a relationship with certain characters and blah blah blah, but all of a sudden she's like, no, I'm actually interested in this person over here, and then you start kind of getting involved in that, and you're trying to give her tips and trying to be like, oh, you should go and ask her to have a beer, and like trying to kind of like you're almost like playing a matchmaker between these two characters, and like, you know, like, oh, I'm excited to see how their date goes and stuff like that. And so while I didn't finish Outer Worlds, like I said, I mentioned it on the podcast, you know, several weeks ago. While I was super high on that game when I first started, I kind of fell off it pretty quick.
I do hear the companion stuff is the best part of it.
But yes, game. All of the companion stories are written really well, and they are interesting, and that was kind of one of the driving factors.
Parvati is definitely the standout one.
Oh,
I think.
Definitely.
My favorite cheese.
Crispy?
My runner-up for best character relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to. Well, I don't know how to say this. I guess. Spoiler? I don't know.
What game are we spoiling?
Is
say the game first.
It's Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And it is between Cal and the second sister.
Oh, okay.
The main antagonist of the game.
I would say that's probably my favorite like dynamic in that game.
Oh, stop it!
I mean, after like
stop it.
I don't know anything about the game. I
expressed my lack of interest in like the two immediate supporting characters, so that was the next.
Yeah, I mean they like. I think those two characters share all of like maybe maybe 15 minutes of screen time, and I think they do more to kind of like wrap up and kind of encapsulate the spirit of what maybe they were trying to do in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
and they do it better with less.
Are you making a Kylo and Rey?
Yeah, I mean they kind of have like
yeah.
this gender swapped like Kylo Ren Rey thing going on.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I think those two are really compelling. And like halfway through that game, you know, they take the second sister and they make her, you know, and they you know, what
things happen.
Things happen, and it's I don't know, it's interesting.
He force teleports the lightsaber.
That was a big driving force for me wanting to finish that game, was to see how that story played out. My winner is for Harry and Kim and Disco Elysium.
Oh, your character's named Harry? Because he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it really doesn't have to be. You can absolutely convince him that that's not his name.
Yeah, sure.
And it's not his name if you do that.
Well, I have really high encyclopedia, so like he knew what his name was.
Just
he
like
knew,
naturally,
like when when they were throwing out like other names, he knew exactly what those names were and was like, no, that's not my name. That's the name of a fictional character from this or something like that. So like, it was harder to convince him that he didn't know.
Which is so cool how these like how your stats can actually dramatically have changed like how something plays out. That's so cool.
But yeah, like I mean, I don't know. I don't look at Kim as like a father figure per se, like you were talking about.
Not literally, more
but
analogously.
I think they complement each other very well, and I think it's incredible how much patience Kim has for how fucking weird Harry is.
How much
because
bullshit
I mean, I'm sure most playthroughs are like this, but like my Harry is like constantly going off in completely different directions of just like, you know, like getting obsessed with like the wall, and then getting obsessed with like figuring out what kind of bird he is, and then like getting obsessed with everything except like
the actual
being
mission
a police, like being a good officer.
Yeah.
And like
also he's a fuckatoo, right?
Huh?
He's a fuckatoo, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the
yeah.
That's the bird I chose, I think. Fuck up a two. What was it called?
Fuck up a two. Yeah. But yeah, those two have such a good chemistry together, and such a good play off of each other, and it like Harry wouldn't work without Kim, you know?
Yeah.
Is kind of how I feel.
He doesn't work. You should see me in the evenings.
I mean, he doesn't.
All right. And honorable mentions.
When he's not there, I'm always like, I should not do this without Kim here. That's how I'm thinking when I play that game.
That's that.
Honorable mentions, real quick. Yagami and Kaito from Judgment. They're awesome. Yeah. It's the main character and his old Yakuza buddy. Mm-hmm. Great duo. Byleth in my class. This was almost a runner-up, but like Byleth, the main character of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and like I was so attached to my class, or I still am because I'm still playing this game, to my classroom and the characters in my class and all the ladies I stole from other classes. Probably because, you know, you're there with them every week, like teaching them lessons and stuff, and you know, seeing them get stronger in battle and leveling up, and seeing how they have higher ranks and skills than me, the professor. I die for some of those characters.
Yeah.
Not well, I'm not gonna talk shit about anybody in my class, but you know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have too many honorable mentions.
Yeah,
for this.
so
Golden Deer for life.
The thing that I kind of wanted to comment on this is I found that I did not play that many games this year with like really intense stories.
No,
or at least like, you know, character interactions. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, Luigi and Professor Egad. Yeah,
I think it was a great year for games with good stories, but like in a lot of those stories, there was only a singular character or the two characters. Like I was thinking about Resident Evil 2, and I was like, well, those two main characters don't really have much interaction, so I was like, well, that's not gonna work.
Even for me, like nothing
from Death Stranding.
Well, yeah, so the only character relationship in that game I would want to talk about is very spoilery.
Okay.
What about Sam and the Road?
No. There's,
I see what you did there.
There's one relationship in that, and I'm sure Nick's finished it, so he knows what I'm probably talking about.
You're talking about the...
I don't want to spoil anything.
Doesn't it involve someone crying at the end?
A man.
Probably.
A man and his motorcycle.
There you go.
Is it a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah,
very good.
That's the only one I think that it's like I don't know, like David and Ava from Telling Lies, but I mean that's a game.
Yeah, I mean that's I'd say that's definitely the best relationship in that game.
Well, but like the only reason I don't like go there is because that's not like it's
because the dude sucks.
Well, yes, that is true, but it's one of those things where that's tough because while that is a game, it's not necessarily a game. It's you watching a bunch of like movies and trying to figure out the order and trying to figure out the story. But as far as writing goes, yes, but like, the frustrating thing is, I think if you were to watch Telling Lies in chronological order, it wouldn't be as good of a relationship. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, in what sense?
The relationship between David and Ava.
Yeah, but like because it's a bad relationship because it is.
Well, that's part of it.
Okay,
but I'm saying I think it's the discovery of the because like.
But I mean, that's what endears you to the character. I mean,
no, I know.
Characters.
I'm just saying, most likely you don't encounter that relationship the day they meet. You encounter them farther in, and you kind of go back and forth and and like kind of discovering how they get there. But that's
there's a part in that game where Ava finds something out and like, and she's like really broken up about it, and I felt really terrible.
Oh yeah, very much so.
It's like I hurt this woman, and
there's
this
a part
makes me
where
feel awful.
I found out something and I felt terrible. Like not even Ava finding out.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Unless y'all have any last minute mentions, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, the relationship between me and my jet in Ace Combat 7, and the relationship between me and the goose in the game. And
the goose
and the Untitled Goose Game. Sorry, I didn't want to go through the whole episode without mentioning Chris Davis's favorites.
Cool.
Well,
the goose and the farmer, the best relationship.
It's actually the relationship between the goose and his honk.
Yeah, the goose and his honk.
The goose in the village, really.
The goose in the village.
The goose and the whole village. All right. All right.
There's some sophisticated shit in there.
Guys, oh my god, I closed the thing just before I were trying to wrap the shows out. So first of all, thank you very much for listening. That's part 1 of our 2019 award show. Next week we have a few more categories to go over, including the second half of the show will be our Games of the Decade awards. So awards that are tailored more towards the entire decade. Next week,
maybe we'll cut a couple of those.
Next week's show is going. Well, I'm about to rattle them off here. So, best video game moment, best narrative, best new character, biggest regret, our asterisk award, the number 11 award. And then we're going to go into games of the decade, and we'll do best narrative of the decade, best character, underrated, Jimmy's, or hidden gem of the decade. I just called it a Jimmy. The Brad Award, like I mentioned, and of course, best game of the decade. So tune in next week, Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for part 2. We really appreciate everyone who hung out and listened to the show tonight. If you want to find all of our episodes, go to 4playernetwork.com. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/4player, or if you want to subscribe to us on Twitch, that works too. Don't forget, we're playing Dragon's Dogma right now as part of the Revival Club until the end of January. So if you want to get in on that, $3 tier or higher on Patreon will get you in there to discuss it with everybody. And yeah, that's all we have tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Good night.